from the US government, provided after the WFP sent out a distress call in July. Many of the displaced were farmers who had fled Boko Haram attacks. The WFP says there are on average 3 attacks on communities across the north of Nigeria every day.
Recapping the top story, Parliament has appointed Advocate Norman Arense SC to lead evidence in the ad hoc committee that has been set up to investigate allegations of threats to national security. I'm on Dilambana for SFM News Headlines at 3:30.
At News Sports this hour, Bafana and Bruce on the brink of history. Babalolaja to lead rotated Bok women's side, and Savalenga reaches 3rd straight final. More details at 3:30.
Keeping your family healthy this winter can feel like a daunting task. Try the Lung Shield range. It includes capsules to support healthy lungs and immunity, a syrup for kids that supports the immune system and promotes lung health, and an effervescent with 13 essential ingredients to optimize immune function. Put your family's health first this winter with the Lung Shield range. Available without a prescription at leading pharmacies. Lung Shield, prescribed by doctors, recommended by pharmacists.
The green and gold of Mzansi Africa and the green and white of Nigeria have a massive rivalry in search of victory. Bafana tackles the Super Eagles. The South clashes with the West. This is the FIFA World Cup African qualifier. South Africa versus Nigeria on Tuesday, 9 September at 5:30 p.m. Live on SABC Plus and SABC2. Also available on SABC radio stations at 6 p.m. Proudly brought to you by SABC Sport.
For the love of the game.
The National Pulse with Ashraf Garda on SAFM. You're listening to the National Pulse, weekdays 3 to 6 p.m.
It's an interesting thought. I've been, bumping into different people, speaking to them, some of them on WhatsApp. And the general narrative has been that regarding the humanitarian flotilla, the effort to break the siege by effectively ordinary people, they're not soldiers, they want to break it on humanitarian grounds because of the fact that so many people in Gaza are starving. Their argument has been, why would the mainstream media, and we're talking globally, why would they not even be on those boats? And why would not the big ships also be part of it as opposed to small, tiny boats as part of the flotilla? And wondering whether that reflects again the double standards and duplicitous nature of the way the world works now. Now, I say that because we'll be chatting later on to 2 guests around just that issue, around 20 to 4. So listen out for that. One, of course, is Mandla Mandela, and the other is Reverend Mossa Nkla, the General Secretary of the Evangelical Alliance of South Africa. That comes up later on. We also have a fascinating guest called Abdu Samb. He's the chairman of the FRS investment firm and he's here to invest some big money in South Africa. And to just top it off, my fireside chat guest, John Carney. I mean, really? What reason do you actually have to even turn away for even 5 minutes? Like, no reason at all. Well, to make it even more intense, if I can call it that, let's start with really one of the biggest issues of the day, and that is the issue of the Limpopo chairperson of the African National Congress, Stanley Mathabatha. Now, we spoke about it the other day. He made a point about stepping aside as the chairman, and the ANC has now reacted. So, we'll start with that. My name's Ashraf Garda. This is the National Pulse, 3 to 6, as we do every single day. You can connect live, 086 000 2032, WhatsApp 0614 104 107, tweet, hashtag the National Pulse. I'll certainly pick it up. So let's get to the ANC then. So we know that the chairperson, issued a statement saying that he will step aside from his role immediately. The ANC now has opted not to accept the request from Stanley Mathabatha, and they confirmed that the matter has been referred back to the province, allowing space for issues raised by Mathabatha to be addressed internally and for a resolution to be found. Now, remember, at the nub of his concerns was issues he felt that he really didn't want to be a part of. Okay? And he said lots of things in terms of finally making a decision. One of them, right, and this is very important, this decision is motivated by the concerning misconduct and lack of ANC values that I've observed within the organization in this province, particularly in relation to the processes towards and conduct within the conferences of the Vambe and Waterberg regions. And he also said, to uphold my reputation and integrity, I cannot stand aloof to such unethical and un-ANC tendencies occurring under my leadership. Right, let's get reaction then from the African National Congress. Their spokesperson is Matlengi Bengo Motsiri. As always, good to connect with you on the National Pulse.
Thanks, Ashraf. Thank you very much.
Okay, let's first of all, you get a person in leadership, right? So we're not talking of a branch manager. We're talking of a person who's the former chairperson of that region and former premier rather, and now chairperson, saying he wishes to move away from that leadership position, and the ANC says no. Why?
Well, because in the first instance, the letter addressed to the national officials for the attention of the Secretary General. It is important that the province manages this matter. Remember that PEC members are elected by the province, members in the province and members of branches. And so it can only make sense that that matter gets ventilated within the Provincial Executive Committee, and also to test the veracity of the claims that are contained in the letter of the chairperson. I would just indicate first, for example, Vembe, the outcome of that conference and the procedures that were followed at that conference needed to align with guidelines for conferences. And so when there were disputes lodged and complaints raised, the SG commissioned a task team to go and do a further investigation. They've completed that work. That report is going to be presented in the coming days, in the coming week. And so it is a matter that it cannot be acted upon until that task team report is presented. In other words, the chairperson of Limpopo, ANC Limpopo, needs to await that report like all others that had lodged a dispute. So the claims have been tested in as far as the Vembe conference is concerned. The Waterberg conference that just concluded, being the last regional conference of the ANC in Limpopo, there's been no disputes, there have been no complaints, none whatsoever. And we believe that the guidelines have been followed. And it's a conference that focused on policy, didn't just focus on electing people, focused on dealing with the state of the organization. And therefore, there has been no complaints in as far as that is concerned. And of course, it will be incumbent on the chair to demonstrate how there are problems with the Waterberg conference. But overall, Ashraf, the message that the Secretary General and the NEC deploys to the province, the message that is being sent by this decision to take the matter back is to say the chairperson has got an obligation to reflect with his own peers, his own colleagues, also has an obligation to the members of the ANC in Limpopo to raise those concerns before they are taken to national officials.
All right. I mean, there's lots of things that you've said there, right? So let's start with the last bit, the part that he has an obligation to effectively table his concerns with his peers. I mean, I certainly get that. Does that mean that he hasn't done that before?
Well, he would have done it according to him, because a meeting was held with him yesterday. He would have done that. The extent to which that was discussed by the entire Provincial Executive Committee, the view is that that conversation was not exhaustive. It needs to be exhaustive. And the idea is to also unite the colleagues. And the idea also is that we must test any claim that is made by anyone, irrespective of their positions, including the issues that have been raised by the chair.
So you test. Yeah. Continue. Yeah.
Around the issue that he raises about the undermining of ANC's historic values. I would really want to frame that in the context of the organizational renewal of the ANC. It is set up exactly for that purpose. I think it will be fair to concede that there are matters that have justified this renewal project, including the undermining of the historic values of the ANC. That has been picked up in various pockets of the organization. But leaders do not walk away from a responsibility to reinstill the right values. And that is why the matter has been taken back to the province, and of course not accepting the step aside request. In the first instance, Ashraf, there is no such a provision of a step aside in the ANC in circumstances where somebody needs to step down. Step aside applies in different circumstances where there are matters of discipline and where somebody has been charged by the courts, where they have to step aside. So there is no provision constitutionally for the kind of request that the chairperson was making.
Okay, I mean, I hear you what you're saying about step aside, and we can debate the merits of the wording, but I agree with you that may mean something else. But the bottom line to it is this, right? He is obviously disappointed enough within certain structures within the party, within a province, that he's the chairperson, enough to want to, whether you want to call it step aside, just to walk away effectively, right? Conversely, you also suggested they should have spoken to, the national executive first, right? Does that mean that you're disappointed because you're making the point that he can't just walk away? Does that then come across as a cause for disappointment in him and his own judgment on this issue?
No, certainly not. That will really be, heavy-handed. I think that the discussion, in the spirit of forging unity, the discussion must take place in Limpopo, including consultation with branches of the ANC with a view to uniting comrades there. I think that the provincial chairperson is operating like everybody that is operating in an environment that is fraught with several contestations, including leadership contestations. And it will be naive not to also locate the letter in that context. And then so I wouldn't want to overreach. I would want to suggest that indeed he's got a right to raise the concerns that he has raised. We have suggested that perhaps there should be another take, a very focused discussion that seeks to unite colleagues where he participates as the chairperson of the province, and also where the chairperson continues with owning the responsibility that he was elected for. And there will never be a time when we feel that the organization is squeaky clean, but a lot of work is being done to deal with issues of culture, organizational culture, values, and so on.
So let's say, as you said, the matter's been referred back to the provincial executive. Let's say he addresses them or does not, or chooses not to address them. But either way, chooses to then actually walk away. You can't prevent that from happening, can you?
No, it cannot be prevented. I mean, if he were to tender a resignation, for instance, a resignation, you can only acknowledge the resignation and accept it because, you joined the ANC voluntarily and you withdraw voluntarily.
What about, yes, the matter has been referred back to the provincial executive, but the fact that he's made public his comments, and actually they're scathing comments, right? What does the ANC think about it, even now?
Well, a bit of correction. He didn't make his comments public, Ashraf. It was a function of whoever decided to leak his letter, because we saw the letter on social media, but we didn't have any possession of such a letter until I think 48 hours or 24 to 48 hours late. But that's not the main point. The main point is that the issues that he has raised are fundamental issues that are being confronted in the organization through the renewal project, through the rebuilding project. And in the course of pursuing this project, there are going to be fractures of different kinds. And this is a province that has concluded for all its 5 regional conferences. In fact, this is a province that has done well In doing well doesn't mean that there have not been gaps and challenges. Hence, there is a task team that was commissioned that is now concluded its investigation on the Vembe conference. On the Waterberg conference, there has been no complaint, none whatsoever. There are no court challenges, nothing. It would seem then, therefore, that the provincial chair will have to apprise his colleagues about what it is in the Waterberg conference that did not align with the values.
Okay, I just want to pick up then on in terms of what you know about what he said and what can happen next about the actual allegations, if I can call it that, versus the chairperson, and we'll do that right after this.
So you thought you were building a business in this economy? Good luck. But day by day, somehow it grew. You became payroll, procurement, PR, and pressure valve. You kept going when the freezer didn't freeze, the bucket didn't budge, and the bank balance barely blinked. What's that saying again? What doesn't kill your business makes it stronger? Or at least it should be that. So you thought you were building a business. You weren't. It was building you. Because this isn't just what you do anymore. It's who you are. And you don't trust just anybody to protect it. Chat to your broker about Old Mutual Insure Business Insurance. Protect what built you. Old Mutual Insure Limited is a licensed FSP and non-life insurer.
Let's rewind 6 years, when Twitter was still Twitter, not a letter of the alphabet. TikTok was simply the sound your clock made. And Zoom just meant enlarging a picture. So it makes you wonder, what will the next 6 years bring? Hino trucks now come standard with a 6-year drivetrain warranty, covering everything from pistons to gears. So although a lot can change in 6 years, our warranty promise won't. T's and C's apply. Hino, all the way.
The National Pulse with Ashraf Garda. Weekdays, 3 to 6 p.m.
Right, we're going to conclude our conversation with Mahlengi Bangu Motsiri, the ANC national spokesperson. Let me just tell you, we'll take your calls right away. As soon as we're done, I want to talk to you. How do you get on air? You call in live, 086 000 2032, and then WhatsApp 0614 104 107. You can tweet as well right away. Right, let's just pick up on this point. And I know what you said, what you said earlier around issues of the Vembe and Waterberg regions, right? But specifically when a person who's the former premier and the current chair of that region talks about that I've observed within the organization in this province, particularly in relation to the processes towards and conduct within the conference, talking about that. And he spoke about the lack of ANC values. And he also said, to uphold my reputation and integrity, I cannot stand aloof to such unethical and un-ANC tendencies. Now, I get that point that it needs to be checked out. But this is the point I want to just get your thoughts on. How big a concern is that for you as a party when someone of his stature makes that type of comment, whether it was public or whether it was private and leaked? Either way, he's made that comment because he has chosen to want to step aside or walk away anyway.
Absolutely correct that either way he has made those comments. It is obviously very concerning. It should concern any leader of the ANC where somebody of Stan Mathabatha's experience and credentials in the African National Congress, including his own work in government having been sent by the ANC, it should be a matter of concern. However, imagine if we had 3 more other leaders writing those similar letters. You have to investigate the veracity of those claims and not take them at face value. Overall, we must consider, as the ANC, and we've always done so, that there are matters of concern in as far as ensuring that all our members and leaders are imbued with the values of the organization, values of selflessness, of humility, and discipline, and placing people first, and therefore service being one of those fundamental values. There are concerns about the erosion of those values. We are working very hard to try and actually reinstill values of the ANC. In fact, in the election and the selection of candidates for the upcoming local government election, including for when we have to send people to parliament and the legislatures, there are very clear updated criteria that has been updated by the Motlanthe committee that is going to make it very difficult for anyone that has participated in some malfeasance or of any kind, or anyone that has not performed when deployed and has not served the people in a way that the ANC expects that to be done.
Okay, point taken. I thought it's a very important election coming up. In fact, just maybe as the last thought, talking about an upcoming election and what other parties do does have an impact on each and every other party. Confirmation that the Africa Mayibuye movement now will contest the upcoming election. Any comment you wish to make on that?
Well, we are readying ourselves. We already have an election strategy, having launched an election strategy internally. We've had election strategy workshops in all provinces. Our volunteers are being primed, being prepared, and we are looking at the by-elections. They are giving us a very good indicator of something that actually is contesting the current mainstream pollsters that are placing the ANC way below. Look at the recent by-election results, and I'll use Limpopo as an example. Fita Khomo yesterday or the day before, making it with a hoping 79% in favor of the ANC. And we've seen that in the Eastern Cape. We've seen it even here in Gauteng. The by-elections, we have been winning them, and surely that is an indicator of the fact that we must sharpen our campaign. We are going to sharpen it because we believe that the ANC must still continue to complete what is incomplete, including economic emancipation. Okay. And we believe that the people of South Africa, they may have fundamental issues where the ANC has wronged them, but they believe that there is no other vehicle that is capable of taking this country forward, based on experience, based on our historic values, based on the fact that the ANC was established not for itself, but for the people of South Africa.
Let's leave it at that, a time when we now know. Thank you so much for your time. In fact, Mahlengi Benga Motsiri, the ANC national spokesperson, the point I make at a time when the ANC, the Africa Mayibuye party now confirms that Floyd Shivambu is not just the convener, but the president of the party. At the same time, the ANC is saying we have to complete what we have not completed or what that is incomplete. It's a fascinating conundrum going into that local government election. Right, I'll take your calls after this.
You're listening to the National Pulse.
Right, of course. In fact, we'll take your WhatsApp comments right away, voice notes, right?
Gore, Ashraf, if Sten Matavate is so disappointed by the behavior and conduct of the ANC members in Limpopo, the same structure that nominated him, of which is a chairperson, the same structure that gave him a free ticket to be an MP and ultimately a deputy minister. Why do you step away from the organization itself that you are leader? A father running away from problems you cannot resolve. You leave the children away for themselves to fend. That's not good leadership. That's a spoiled brat behavior.
Okay, got that.
And he should just step away from the MP seat and deputy minister seat and step away from the organization entirely, because that's what he's saying. Otherwise, he's a coward who ran away from problems. You stay and resolve problems. You are the head. You are the leader, father figure.
Okay, got that. I wonder. Step away. You are the father figure. Here's another.
Ashraf, you can't even defend ANC in anyhow. If ANC was serious about disciplining its members, people like Kwisela Diko, you were speaking to her, I think, if it's not yesterday, it was day before. These people are still having the higher position in ANC. But here they come, the spokesperson of ANC, trying to show that ANC is disciplining its members. ANC is disciplined. ANC will never discipline anyone. ANC don't know nothing about discipline. Zolin Kize is still holding big position. You can count them. So ANC is just a crooked organization. Thank you.
Well, I'll tell you what, there's lots of... I think the ANC has to win the mind games again. There's just so much about the ANC that one is to consider, isn't it?
Hi, Ashraf. The new economic ANC emancipation policy is loot and steal every penny that they can and lie to the public. Let's vote them out, Vince Cape Town.
Okay, and there's another.
Good afternoon, Mr. Ashraf. This is Mbongo Sondisa. Mr. Ashraf, the president must remove the Western Cape commissioner. Please deploy the guy like somewhere else, maybe like in Pretoria, like to working the offices there. He does not know what he is doing. People are dying in Western Cape each and every day. Cape Town is under siege. The gentleman, he does not know whether he's going or coming. It's just a mess. People die every day. Remove that Western Cape Police Commissioner there as a belief.
Okay, got that. Lots to consider there, including we now know the formation officially of Africa Mayibuya as an official political party headed now by Floyd Shivambu as its president. 3:30, here's the news headlines.
Thank you, Ashraf. On the news headlines, the Northwest Housing Corporation has been interdicted from auctioning properties in Mabopane, Pretoria, belonging to the city of Tshwane. A 38-year-old woman has been sentenced to 3 years direct imprisonment by the Phuthaditjhaba Magistrates Court at QwaQwa in the Free State for child neglect, and local healthcare workers are among the activists on board the global Samud flotilla on a humanitarian mission to break Israel's blockade of Gaza. A full update follows at the top of the hour.
SAFM, guiding you through the rush hour traffic.
Good afternoon. Starting off in Gauteng, the M2 westbound in central Johannesburg, queuing towards Crown Interchange. The N1 southbound in Fourways, a crash before Winnie Mandela Drive, and the N1 southbound in Midrand, slow moving towards Buccleuch Interchange. In KZN, the N3 eastbound, a stationary vehicle on the link to the N2 north at Spaghetti Junction. The N2 northbound queuing towards Umgeni Road, and the M7 is where a crash is reported on the link to the N2 south. In Cape Town, the N2 outbound queuing towards Muway, the N1 outbound slow moving on Plattekloof Hill, and Strand Road eastbound in Stikland slow moving towards the R300 highway. With your traffic update, I'm Irma G.
This is SAFM Sports with Duming Khapele.
Listeners, well, with the next two 2026 FIFA World Cup qualifiers carrying Bafana Bafana's hopes of reaching the global showpiece, head coach Chico Bruce says that his side is highly motivated for tonight's crucial clash against Lesotho. Now, a victory would see South Africa go 8 points clear at the top of Group C, with the other group contenders only in action tomorrow. There's also still a matter hanging over their shoulders, with FIFA yet to rule on Bafana fielding an ineligible player for their last qualifier match against Lesotho 5 months ago. Now, Tebogo Mokoena had participated in this particular clash, though he had received 2 yellow cards in previous qualifiers, which means that he had 1 match suspension. Lesotho, though, did not lodge their complaint in time, and FIFA is yet to rule on that matter. So it means that Bafana could still be docked 3 points at the end of the qualifiers. That's why the 2 remaining qualifiers against Lesotho today and Nigeria on the 9th of September are still extremely important. Then in athletics, America's Noah Lyles is preparing for the upcoming 2025 World Athletics Championships in Tokyo. The Olympic champion confirmed his great form by winning the 200 meter at the Diamond League final in Zurich, with his main rival Tebogo Letsie finishing second. The Botswana sprinter has claimed 200 meter gold medal at the Paris Olympics, where Lyles, who it turned out had COVID, had to settle for bronze. After winning his 6th consecutive Diamond League final, the American says now he's determined to make history at the World Athletics Championships. Then in rugby, Babalwa Laja will captain the Springbok women for the first time at a World Cup against France in Northampton on Sunday, with Mary Zulu and Anati Kolo handed their first World Cup start. Scrum half Taylor Kinsey who is the most capped player in Bok women's history, is also set to win her 41st cap and third World Cup appearance from the bench. In the back line, only Kumisa Kawe retains the same jersey from the Italy match, with Bayhandre Dolph restored at full half and Nadine Ruiz starting at scrum half. Lacha and number 8 Azeza Hele are the only forwards who keep their places from last week, with Kolo, the sole pack member, yet to feature at this year's tournament. De Bruin says that the selection was influenced by the fact that South Africa has already qualified for the quarterfinals. Meanwhile, Springbok loose forward Marcel Coetzee will lead the Vodacom Bulls in their final Currie Cup match of the season against the Cheetahs at Loftus tomorrow. Coach Johan Ackerman, who stepped in to manage the transition between the Currie Cup and Vodacom URC, has loaded the side with URC players, and among them is Johan Grobler, Ambrose Papier, David Greel and Devon Williams. And among more interesting selections are the dynamic lock of JF van Heerden, just 21 and hulking 2.01 meter figure with real potential. Jan Surfentin, who is the accomplished Springbok centre, also pulls on a Bulls jersey for the first time in 8 years on his return to the capital. Ending things off with tennis, defending champion Aryna Sabalenka showed true grit as she battled back from a set down to beat Jessica Pegula and to reach a third straight US Open final. In a repeat of last year's showpiece, fourth seed Pegula was on course to avenge her defeat, but Sabalenka, as the American home hope, grabbed the opening set and eventually won 4-6, 6-3 and 6-4. On that note, it is a wrap from my side for now. I'll have more in the next hour.
This year, the Standard Bank Joy of Jazz Festival presents 3 unforgettable days deep in the art and heart of jazz. From the 26th, 27th and 28th of September, Umu Sankare, Ababemu, Jasmia Horn, Silent Moore and the Noisemakers, Najbonk Trio, Michelle Ndingio-Cello, Willem Siini, Gabby Mutuba and over 50 world-class acts will be ready to welcome you and yours to 4 magnificent stages of the Sandton Convention Center. Take me there. Buy your tickets at Ticketmaster now.
This week on FC Meets, Busin Tisa of M Sports Marketing takes us on a journey of brand-to-fan synergy and sports marketing innovations. Find out how she navigates campaigns and activations that set the bar for fan experience. Tune in to SABC Sport on DTT Channel 4 and SABC Plus this Saturday, 6 September at 6 p.m. FC Meets, football made for community by community. Reach entire game. Proudly brought to you by SABC Sport.
For the love of the game.
SAFM celebrates its 89th birthday this month by giving listeners an exclusive opportunity to attend the prestigious Joy of Jazz taking place at the Sandton Convention Center from the 26th to the 28th of September 2025. To stand a chance to win these sought-after tickets, simply SMS SAFM 89 followed by your name to 41391 and stay tuned to SAFM as we could be calling you. SAFM is the official media partner for the Dipala stage at the Standard Bank Joy of Jazz. Entries open from the 7th of August and close on the 31st of August 2025. Winners will be randomly selected and called from the 1st of September 2025. SMSs are charged at R1.50 per SMS. Free SMSs and SMS bundles do not apply. T's and C's apply. You are listening to the National Pulse with Ashraf Garda.
So the contradictions are very obvious. On the one hand, you see these many boats that are described as the flotilla, very, very colourful because they're small boats and they all have the Palestinian flag on them, and it does make a very, very colourful sight. So that's the one thing. Then you also see the sense of unity of purpose from the many people. And then the other reality is, what are they going to do? They are, whether they're leaving from Barcelona or Tunis in Tunisia, they're all headed to Gaza in Palestine to try and attempt to break a siege. And this year is a siege against what they see as a relief being blocked in that region by Israel. So the numbers are large, but they certainly don't reflect the big countries. They don't reflect the leadership of the world. They effectively represent activists from different parts of the world, including from South Africa. So let's talk about that. With me, I've got two guests, Reverend Moss Ntla, the General Secretary of the Evangelical Alliance of South Africa. Reverend Ntla, appreciate your time. You're live on the National Pulse.
Glad to be on your show, Ashraf. Thanks for having us.
Much appreciated. And of course, we also have with us, Nkosi Mandla Mandela, who's South African Member of Parliament, who I understand will be one of those people who will be part of that flotilla. Much appreciate your time, Mandla. Thanks for joining us.
Let's correct that. I'm not a Member of Parliament. I've only served 3 terms in Parliament and got out of Parliament after the elections last year.
All right. Thanks for that correction.
I'm just the Chief of Mvezo and the Traditional Council.
Okay, that's in the past tense. My apology for that. But you are so help me with this. Are you still in Tunis? Because I'm a bit unclear who's there and who is taken on the boats heading towards Gaza. Where are you?
I'm currently in Tunis, in Tunisia, and I'm here with our comrades and friends that have mobilized the Global Sumud Flotilla. Some of our comrades departed from Barcelona on the 31st of August with just over 20 boats. 4 of them were challenged in terms of the heavy winds and had to turn back, but about 17 boats are still making their way to Tunisia. They are estimated to arrive here on Saturday, if not Sunday morning. We will therefore, as the 10 South African activists that are here joining the Global Sumud Flotilla, will be sailing with the rest of the African contingent that has gathered here in Tunisia with other activists from around the globe who will be sailing with us. We are 3 entities: the Freedom Flotilla, which was responsible for the flotilla that was supposed to have sailed out of Turkey in Istanbul, but were denied by port authorities, and the withdrawal of our Guinea-Bissau flag. But also, we then embarked on the Global March to Gaza with 4,000 activists from about 80 countries around the globe, which had only one aim: to go to the Rafah border crossing and enable humanitarian aid to flow freely into Gaza. That was also supported by the Sumud convoy out of Tunisia, Libya, into Egypt, which were also not able to get there. So the 3 entities have come together in this Global Sumud Flotilla.
All right. So help us understand this, right? Why has it been important for someone like yourself, for the other South Africans, and the many other people you've mentioned as part of this collection of people who are part of this flotilla, the 3 entities? Why is it important for them to head to Gaza, and what would be the ultimate end goal here?
What is of importance to us in particular as South Africans is that our struggle is intertwined with the Palestinian struggle. As you know, that many Palestinians supported our cause during our darkest days in the struggle for liberation. And this is why it was vitally important for the father of our democracy and our global icon, upon his release in 1995 and respectively 1997, on visiting Gaza, he made a commitment to the Palestinians that our freedom is incomplete without the freedom of the Palestinians. In this regard, South Africans have become the voice of the oppressed and most vulnerable nations across the globe. You would have seen His Excellency President Cyril Ramaphosa and our government taking the Israeli apartheid regime to the International Court of Justice, including the International Criminal Court. And this is what has been on the agenda and prioritized by South Africa to ensure that apartheid Israel is held accountable for the atrocities it has meted out against the Palestinians for the past 77 years.
All right, let me just put you on pause for now, and I bring in once again Reverend Moss Nkla, right? So, from you, of course, you're not in Tunis, Reverend. From your side, representing the Evangelical Alliance of South Africa, give it to me from your side. You know, why is this important for you and your organization, and what would be your end goals?
Thank you, Ashraf. Yeah, I think for us as the Evangelical Alliance, as part of the broader Christian community in South Africa, are very much inspired by the move of not only the South Africans who are part of this movement, but globally around the world, people who are willing to make the moral statement that what is going on in Palestine, in Gaza, as a result of Israeli impunity, is unacceptable. And it's important for us as Christians to actually make it quite clear that although it could very well be said that much of the Christian West, by which I mean European and North American, all of those communities who are formerly colonial countries are deliberately supporting Israel because it is a colonial project, such as their own history has got colonial.
All right. So if I touch on the issue of the key word, you know, to break the siege, what is your understanding of break the siege? What does that actually mean?
It means that there's a deliberate action by the peoples of the world to move beyond where the UN and other agencies have come to, because as we know, the UN and the ICJ have made pronouncements about Israel, and all of those have been ignored by Israel. And so it seems as if in terms of legality, in terms of the world order that we're at, it seems that the people of the world have to take it upon themselves to act, to break those sieges that are in place as a result of the momentum of global powers to break it.
Okay. Would I take it that it's also fraught with danger? I mean, there's been other attempts before over the years. A few of them have succeeded, but many of them have been prevented from actually providing relief and therefore breaking that siege. Would you be confident this time that you'll succeed?
Well, I suppose the desperation of all of us around the world, whether we succeed or don't succeed, whether Israel decides to disrupt this move or not, that's up to them to do. For our part, we can only say we've done the best that we can to be able to break this siege and to provide clean water to people, food, medical aid. So all of these are human rights that everybody is entitled to.
All right.
So Israel, nobody can predict what they want to do about these things, but we have to do what we want to do.
Okay, the question is what will happen next. Mandla Mandela, I'll bring you in once again. So, I mean, you there, your mood must be very, very different. Give us an insight into that. First of all, yourself and the other South Africans, and then the other activists from around the world that are now, you know, congregating in Tunisia. Give us a sense of what all of you are feeling and thinking and saying.
Well, I mean, many of us that have come here can no longer sit idle while the Palestinians have been totally locked down in Gaza in a concentration camp. You do know that this is an 18-year-old blockade and siege on Gaza, which has denied them their rights, fishing rights, the enjoyment of their own coastal line, and the resources that are within that coastal line, such as gas and oil. You would have seen in recent weeks, there were almost about 53 ships coming out of Egypt as well as Turkey, utilizing that. So the hypocrisy of Egypt as well as Turkey often speaking in support of the Palestinian cause, and yet they are extracting mineral resources out of Gaza, has been despicable. But we are here as activists to say that we will continue to advocate for the Palestinians' rights as is enshrined in international law, and has been many resolutions that have been passed through the United Nations but never implemented.
And therefore your
importance,
go ahead, sorry, most important.
Yeah, or what is of importance to us is the irony that the mission is seen as a risk and as a threat, and we simply ask from whom? Who are we supposed to be at risk from? Who is the threat to you and I? Who is a threat to the international community today? When you answer that question, then you know that we can no longer continue to sit idle and silent.
Okay, just a quick answer from yourself, Mandla. What about, what for you rather would be the best case scenario, and what would be the best case outcome, and what would, for you would be the worst case outcome, considering now the boats are heading towards Gaza?
The best outcome is to get the intended humanitarian aid, baby formula, food, medicine, and the aid that the Palestinians need for it to reach its destination. We pose no threat as these activists. We don't have any weapons, and therefore should be given the right to deliver the humanitarian aid to the Palestinian people. And the worst case scenario is that we will not be permitted to do so.
Okay. Last word to the Reverend, and you've got 30 seconds to answer very quickly. What's your message to the global community of nations? And I'm talking of activists, I'm talking of nations who are not participating. What would you like to tell them in just one line?
The message is simply that we have to make the apartheid in Israel unworkable and apartheid ungovernable, such as we did here in South Africa years ago.
Okay.
It is Israel rules by permission of the world, and it's time that we withdraw that permission.
And that's where we can leave it. Let's leave it at that. Yeah. Reverend Moss Nhlantla, the General Secretary of the Evangelical Alliance of South Africa. And before that, we've had Mandla Mandela, Chief of the Imvezo Traditional Council. He's in Tunis, about to set sail on those flotillas, and that will come up imminently. So this is the National Pulse.
Mzansi, don't miss out on playing Powerball and Powerball Plus for a life-changing 103 million rand in total guaranteed jackpots this Friday. That's right, play Powerball for the guaranteed 50 million rand and Powerball Plus for the guaranteed 53 million rand today. Buy your tickets now in store on nationallottery.co.za, the mobile app, cell phone banking, or simply dial *120 *7529# for USSD. Panda, Pusha, play. Players must be 18 years old or play responsibly. E2 is the proud operator of the National Lottery.
This Heritage Month, SAFM invites you to journey into the past while shaping the future under the theme, Reimagine Our Heritage Institutions for a New Era. We celebrate the stories, traditions, and voices that define who we are as a nation. From vibrant conversations to thought-provoking debates, SAFM is where heritage meets innovation, connecting generations and keeping our culture alive in a changing world. SAFM, leading the conversations that move us. The SAFM University Debate Challenge is back. The University of KwaZulu-Natal will take on the University of Zululand in what promises to be a nail-biting debate. Join us for the 1-hour debate on This Week Today with Oliver Dixon from 6 to 7 p.m. on Friday, the 5th of September, 2025. The SAFM University Debate Challenge is an independent, non-partisan progressive initiative seeking to develop confident communicators, critical thinkers, and empowered global citizens. SAFM, leading the conversations that move us. You're listening to the National Pulse.
Right. So, by the way, we know we got John Carney coming up later on, and you may want to comment on the conversations we've had regarding the ANC as well as the flotilla. Happy to take your calls when we get the chance. So it's 6002032, WhatsApp 0614104107. Right. Let's move on to something completely different here. Here's a person. We've got Abdou Sam, who's from Senegal but now living in France. And he's in South Africa right now. He heads up an investment firm, a French investment firm called FRS. And if you don't know much about it, you ought to know, because they have a plan to invest hugely in South Africa, and don't we need that, right? So thank you for joining us here on the National Pulse.
It's my pleasure. Thank you very much for inviting me.
Right, I've already touched on the word investment. So what are you investing in our country?
Oh, we are investing all around the world. We are working all around the world, and we are investing in different sector, infrastructure project, energy, and it could be ICT also. We are in different space of investment as an investment firm. Yeah.
Okay. Tell me more about the work that you do in France.
Oh, I live in France since 35 years. I was there for my studies. I've graduated in mathematics, and I've started my company, FRS Consulting, in 2011 with my business partner. And now we are one of the leaders in raising public funds. We raise funds in Europe, especially for private sector. And we also work in Africa, where we work in government in the financing of PPP projects.
Okay, so specifically then in South Africa now on this trip here, tell me what's the actual rollout? What you're hoping to do, and how successful are you likely to be?
In South Africa, we are interested in many sectors. Of course, in investment, which is our core business. And we are looking for opportunity of investment in the private sector, also in the public sector, especially in the infrastructure project. But I also have another interest in South Africa, because I've set up here a foundation, the Abdou Sam Foundation. And the aim of this foundation is to accelerate the regeneration of Africa through meritocracy and prosperity. Yeah, it's one of the reasons also I'm here.
I mean, it's interesting because, often many people say when other countries and investment companies, whether it's governments or big corporates within countries, when they want to dabble in Africa, we treat them with suspicion because of historical factors. How do you respond to that?
Please come
when I say suspicion, there's a sense that historically, whether it's the Americans or the Chinese or the Russians or the Indians, like, what are they trying to do in our country? What are they trying to meddle? Okay, as in interfere. Now, of course, investment is welcome. There's always a skeptic that says, if you want to invest, what do you want in return? What do you want to extract from my country?
Okay, it is an interesting point, because the first time I came in South Africa was in 2015 as a pilgrimage, because I've read about South Africa in the Quran, the place where the two oceans cross.
Okay.
And when I arrived here, when I was in Kapagulas, I feel a connection. I feel an energy from this heart, and I feel that there is a land of opportunities. It was my first contact with the country, but I don't only see South Africa has opportunity. I'm African, and for me, South Africa is more than that. It's not an ordinary country. South Africa is, of course, is the leader in Africa. Is the leader of African economy, of course. And as an African, when you are in South Africa, you don't feel that you are doing business in Africa, but you can feel that you are doing the business all around the world. But just all those things to say that it's more than investment, it's more than opportunity. It's a kind of social responsibility for me to be in South Africa. Of course, I'm looking for opportunity to do business and to invest, but I'm more interested by impact, by doing things that they are going to have impact in my continent, in my community. It's what I'm looking for.
Well, we like that. Social responsibility and impact, I think, is very important. And if you can make money in the meantime, there's nothing wrong with that either, right? So just on your trip already, I mean, tell me about the trip. I mean, who are you meeting, if you are able to tell us, and the type of potential partners that you'd be talking to?
We met a lot of people. As soon as we doesn't close, as long as we don't close the deal, we cannot disclose it. But one of the reasons I'm here, because last week I was appointed as a senior advisor of the C20 this organization of the civil society of the G20, has a senior advisor in charge of raising public fund. It's the main reason of my trip, this trip, is just to start to strategize our fundraising plan to raise money for this C20 before November.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, it's interesting you say so because, of course, as you know, the C20 an extension of the G20, that there's a big debate to say South Africa's chairing it and hosting it. How do we ensure, and we spoke about this even yesterday on air, how do we ensure that South Africa and Africa benefits well beyond what we call ceremonial talking, where we make proposals and resolutions and then nothing happens beyond November?
I guess what we are going to do and achieve from this G20 as African, now I'm speaking as an African, is our responsibility. You are aware that it's the first time that the G20 take place in our continent. And in November, from the 20th of November to the 22nd, we will have in our continent, in the soil of Johannesburg, the 20 most powerful leader in the world. It's a bless. It's our responsibility to transform it. It's our responsibility to work about what we can do with that. We must do something with this opportunity because it's not something small.
I'm afraid we're on to news time, so our time is up. Maybe a longer chat some other time, but I'll leave you with just what's the one thing we must get right as a country, as a continent, just in one line?
South Africa is connected to the world. Let's go to conquist the world.
Okay. We'll take that, and maybe we'll have another chat even when you're back home in France. I think it's that important. Abdou Samb, the chairman of the FRS investment firm, is in South Africa investing and committing himself to this country to try and grow things in South Africa and, by extension, the African continent. Much appreciate your time. It's 4 o'clock. Let's get the news.
Thank you, Ashraf. On the top stories, City of Tshwane interdicts the auctioning of its properties and Motsepe denies claims about entering into politics. For SFM News, I am Onde Lambana and a very good afternoon. The Northwest Housing Corporation has been interdicted from auctioning properties in Mabopane, Pretoria, belonging to the City of Tshwane. The city approached the Pretoria High Court following the corporation's advertisement of a bulk sale of more than 400 mixed-use properties, which were to be disposed of through an online auction. City of Tshwane spokesperson Selby Mugaba says this is a victory considering the loss it would have incurred if the auction had proceeded without the city's consent or approval.
The city also ordered and directed the Northwest Housing Corporation to produce for inspection within 14 days from the date of the granting of the order its asset register, which the city has been battling to access. The register relates to all the properties which the Northwest Housing Corporation purport to have authority to sell. Furthermore, the respondent, in this case the Northwest Housing Corporation, was also ordered to pay the city's legal costs.
Parliament has appointed Advocate Norman Arendse SC to lead evidence in the ad hoc committee that has been set up to investigate allegations of threats to national security. The committee was established following allegations by KwaZulu-Natal Provincial Commissioner Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi of serious corruption in the criminal justice system. He made the allegations during a media conference in July. Parliamentary legal advisor Thuli Ganyaza Twalo announced the legal experts that have been appointed to assist the committee.
The person that has been appointed by Parliament to assist the committee in leading evidence is Advocate Norman Arendse, who is the senior counsel. And the next slide also shows the two advocates that will be working with him. We have Advocate Maria Mugawetsi and also Advocate Lerato Zikalala.
Billionaire businessman and CAF president Petrus Motsepe has addressed ongoing speculation about his political ambitions. Speaking at the release of the financial results for his company, African Rainbow Minerals, Motsepe says that he does not need to enter politics to make a contribution to South Africa. He emphasized that his family foundation will continue its work of supporting various political parties, including the African National Congress. Motsepe's comments come amid speculation he might be positioning himself for a political role.
A few years ago, the editors of the major newspapers asked me the same thing. Are you at some stage going to get involved in politics? And my answer was always, in order for me to make my contribution, the enormous contribution, in fact, the enormous duty I have to the people of this country, I don't have to get into politics.
A 38-year-old woman has been sentenced to 3 years direct imprisonment by the Phuthaditjhaba Magistrates Court at QwaQwa in the Free State for child neglect. She left her 2 children under the age of 5 years alone to fend for themselves for 4 days. Police spokesperson Marco Mopiring.
She left her 2 children aged 4 and 5 alone for almost days in December last year. The children nearly burned the house while trying to cook for themselves. Community members alerted police and social development, and the children were taken to a place of safety. The mother was arrested and sentenced this week.
Local healthcare workers are among the activists on board the global Samud flotilla on a humanitarian mission to break Israel's blockade of Gaza. The flotilla is called Samud, which means steadfast, and is carrying several activists from around the world, all with one purpose in mind: to deliver aid to Palestine. One flotilla has already left Barcelona in Spain, while the second will depart from Tunisia on Sunday. Author and occupational therapist Dr. Fatima Hendricks, who is also a member of the Healthcare Workers for Palestine South Africa, says she has a moral duty and responsibility to help the people of Palestine.
What has happened in the previous flotillas is that interception has happened and the activists on board have been kidnapped in international waters. So this is a likely scenario. We have heard in the media threats of long-term imprisonment, but the point is that we need to be very focused on the objective, which is to break the illegal and immoral siege of Gaza and to open up a humanitarian sea corridor to the beautiful Palestinian people in Gaza.
Recapping the top story, the Northwest Housing Corporation has been interdicted from auctioning properties in Mabopane, Pretoria, belonging to the city of Tshwane. I'm Ondela for SFM News Headlines at 4:30.
In sports this hour, Bruce looking to end his career on a high. Tyson and Mayweather to fight in exhibition match, and Lacha leads rotated women's side. More details at 4:30.
SAFM, guiding you through the rush hour traffic.
Good afternoon. Starting off in Gauteng, the N12 westbound in Alberton, slow moving towards the R59 Reading interchange. The N3 southbound in Germiston, queuing towards Geldenhuys interchange, and the N3 northbound in Bedfordview, slow moving on the link to the N12 east at Kiluli's interchange. In KZN, the N2 southbound as a stationary vehicle before Spaghetti Junction. On the N2 northbound, queuing traffic reported through the construction area north of Spaghetti Junction, and on the M7, a crash on the link to the N2 south, queuing traffic. In Cape Town, the N1 outbound is slow moving towards the M5 Koeberg interchange, the N2 outbound slow moving towards the N7 Jakes Gerwel Drive, and Voortrekker Road eastbound slow moving through Maitland. With your traffic update, I'm Irma G.
If you think you cannot afford a lawyer, think again. Clientele Legal has made professional legal services affordable for you. Whether it's a civil, criminal, or labor-related matter, we have a nationwide panel of attorneys standing by to assist you. SMS SAFM to 32195. That's SAFM to 32195 and we'll call you back. Clientele General is a licensed non-life insurer and an authorized FSP. Standard rates and terms and conditions apply.
Zinzi, the Gen Z. Word on the street is you sold your car.
Yes, and you know I needed a glow up. Hashtag no hustle, no hassle.
So wait. The influencer got influenced by We Buy Cars.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. And they came to me. They checked the car, they gave me an offer. Oh, and they paid me immediately. Easier than an Insta Live, without the weird DMs at 2 a.m.
I didn't understand half of the things you just said, but hey, We Buy Cars. Geared for the glow up, geared for you.
SMDelo ladies are going all out for maximum points, but the University of Fort Hare ladies trust their level of football intelligence to grab vital points. This is the Hollywood Men's Super League. Catch Velo Ladies versus University of Fort Hare Ladies the Sunday 7th September at 2:30 p.m. Live on SABC 1 and everywhere for everyone, always on SABC Plus. Proudly brought to you by SABC Sport.
For the love of the game.
Mzansi, don't miss out on playing Powerball and Powerball Plus for a life-changing 103 million rand in total guaranteed jackpots this Friday. That's right, play Powerball for the guaranteed 50 million rand and Powerball Plus for the guaranteed 53 million rand today. Buy your tickets now in store on nationallottery.co.za, the mobile app, cell phone banking, or simply dial *120 *7529# for USSD. Panda, Pusha, play. Players must be 18 years old or play responsibly. E2 is the proud operator of the National Lottery.
The National Pulse with Ashraf Garda on SAFM. You're listening to the National Pulse, weekdays 3 to 6 p.m.
So I've just received an official statement, by Jeremy Michaels, the spokesperson for the commission. That's the commission of the Judicial Commission, that is, of inquiry into criminality, political interference and corruption in the criminal justice system. And they've now confirmed that after that delay, that the public hearings will commence on the 17th of September. So that comes up pretty soon. 17th of September is day one of those public hearings now. That is confirmed. Right, let's get to, in fact, what's your one question for John Carney? We'll have him up as our fireside chat guest from 5 to 6 o'clock. Looking forward to that. But you can comment on any of the other issues we've had. The gentleman from France, the Senegalese-born, Frenchman now investing in South Africa. The conversation about the flotilla, and then about the ANC and their chairperson from Limpopo who wants to step away, and they're saying, no, you can't do that. Not now anyway, right? Let's now talk about, let's get to Cape Town. In fact, a man was fatally shot this morning as he was about to enter the Athlone Magistrates Court in Cape Town. The SABC News reporter Corbin August has been covering that story. Let's find out more about this. Corbin, hi.
Yes, good day to you and to the listeners.
Thank you. So I suppose the who, what, when, where, why of all this has got to come up, isn't it?
Indeed, indeed. Well, this was yet another brazen shooting incident that occurred in broad daylight, and at the place where many people would think that they would be safe. But it was a shooting incident this morning as this deceased person was entering the court. He was gunned down just inside the gates of the court. Not quite inside the building yet, but just outside where people were queuing to actually go into the court to attend their various legal proceedings and matters. And it's believed he was actually an accused in a matter, and he was also at the court to appear on that matter today. So police have now launched a manhunt, and no arrests have been made yet. So police are now working hard to track down and apprehend the suspects who were responsible for that shooting. And of course, the incident led to the closure of the court for the day. And this, of course, impacts the justice system and the legal proceedings going forward, with many people who had to turn around because the court was closed. So it's a major issue and a big cause for concern in terms of safety and security at courts.
Well, absolutely. I mean, tell me more out of just your understanding of the motives. We understand this is a regular occurrence, but just in terms of the motive of effectively knocking off a key person in a case, yeah.
Yes, well, at this stage, it looks like the incident is gang-related. And there were also two separate shootings that occurred nearby the court also this morning. And those two shootings could perhaps be linked to the shooting that occurred at the court. So at this stage, police say they suspect that all these shootings are gang-related. And of course, this is the one at the court was the latest shocking incident. But earlier this year, there was another shooting incident right inside a court, and that was at Wynberg Magistrates Court. So after that shooting incident, where a man was also fatally wounded right inside the court, there were also big calls for beefing up security around these courts, just to ensure safety for the people who work at the courts and members of the public and everybody else visiting the courts. So at this stage, police say they will continue to track down the leads and perhaps arrest the suspect once they find
Anything
him.
else we need to know that you picked up today that you'd like to share?
Just concerns from some community members, onlookers, and many of them are afraid to speak. So they fear that they could perhaps also fall victim to these shootings, because if they are seen speaking out, or if someone hears that they were talking to anybody, then they could be targeted as well. So there's also this big sense of fear around the communities, and that's a general occurrence in many of the areas here on the Cape Flats, which are crime-ridden, and they have high levels of gang violence and drug abuse and those sorts of cases.
All right, let's leave it at that. Corbin August, appreciate your time. The SABC News reporter reflecting on a man killed as he entered the Athlone Magistrates Court, another very regular occurrence in that part of South Africa. Thank you for that. I'll get to some of your calls and comments as well. And listen, you can comment on the flotilla. Comment ahead of speaking to John Carney, like what's the one thing you'd like to know from him anyway? It doesn't mean you can't call now anyway. Then the ANC story, I think, is a fascinating one, where the ANC, the chairperson of the Limpopo region, effectively, whether they want to call it step aside or step away, decided to do just that because effectively he was unhappy with what he saw as, just bad governance in that region, and he didn't want to be a part of it, right? But the ANC National Executive has now referred him back to say, no, the Limpopo Provincial Executive must pick up this issue. He's got to effectively share his story and his grievances with them. Then they'll take it from there and see what happens next. So that conversation with Matlengi Bengu Motsiri, I've put it up as a podcast. You can check it up, safm.co.za, as well as the fact that now we know that the Maibuya party now official. Floyd Shivambu is the president of that party. Right, we've got another story coming out of the KZN regarding transport, which we'll pick up in a moment.
Ashraf Garda is streaming live now on Facebook, YouTube, and X at SAFM Radio. You're listening to the National Pulse.
Here's a question. Looking at this, I've never had a question like this on air ever. Ashraf, please help me. Size 8 or 9 running shoes. I'm training for a marathon. And then saying, okay, to me and Ashraf, please help me with size 8 or 9 running shoes. I'm training for a marathon. Well, I'm going to raise it with Tumi to say whether she can help with this 8 or 9 because you're training for a marathon. Noted. Ashraf, the situation in the Western Cape is out of hand. Surely the army could be of help there, not by being visible in the area, but to raid and search, to confiscate illegal firearms and help the SAPS to restore order. Comes from Makaye, and there we are, from Howick, right? I've heard many similar stories. That's why I understand the DA themselves are saying, who runs the Western Cape, they want bigger funding and support from national government, because with regard to policing, it's done by national and not coming out of the Western Cape specifically. Anonymous saying, out of curiosity, why are they South African activists? Why not just activists? Let's say I don't support their goal. Who sent them? Should tariffs increase because of their efforts? How would they account? And if it's right for them to be activists, why is it wrong for AfriForum, Zuma, or the leader of the DA to do these meetings? P.S. I do support a free Palestine, by the way. I'm just so confused with what you're saying. Like you say, why are they South African activists? Because they're South African. Let's just start with that. That's where they come from. Lowered in Guyana, hi. Yes, hello. Go for it. What's your point?
Good man. I want to venture into the Sten Makata debacle. We are in Limpopo, and members of the African National Congress, some of us, like myself, and then the information that has been put forward by the chairperson is incomplete, because what I can say to you, only the Sekhukhune.
Yeah, go ahead.
Hello?
Yeah, continue.
Yeah, I'm saying only Sekhukhune elective conference, regional conference, and Waterberg conferences never had any issues or any grievances. But the three, Petamukaba, Namen Mashabani, and Wende, all those three, they had issues with the processes and the guidelines within the movement. The guidelines were not abided with or adhered with. So, Comrade Stan, he didn't have the full information about these shenanigans which happened in the regions. Because he mentioned Waterberg, which never had any issue, as our national spokesperson alluded to. And it is true, because those two regions, they never had issues. But the three which had got issues, they never mentioned anything relating to that matter. And then I'm so glad that the national office, in the sense of Secretary General, he reverted back the matter to the provincial structure, the PEC, to be exhausted with this issue because they are capable and capacitated to resolve these issues instead of escalating it to the national office before it is exhausted within the
All right.
provincial structure. Yes.
All right. Thank you for that, and I welcome other people to comment on that. People who know much more about it and who may want to have a similar or a different view. So, Loet in Guyana, thank you for that. Let's go to Harry Smith now. Tabo, you want to talk about Stan?
Yes, Ashwad, how are you, man?
Yeah, good. What's your point?
Yeah, hey, my pulse is beating.
Why so?
You know what? I've got 2 points, Mr. Ashad. The first one is for this yesterday that happened in Maritzburg yesterday. I don't know
what happened. Tell us what happened.
Yeah, no, I'm worried about. We're always complaining about these Zalawi trucks that are coming here from Zambia or Zimbabwe or outside South Africa. Those trucks are not right. That is why you see they are always failing the bricks. You can check it at Montrose. It's a problem. Maritzburg, it's a problem. Durban is a problem. So we always complaining. Look what happened yesterday. The Zimbabwean or is it Zimbabwean or I can't remember.
Yeah, can you be quick with? I need to move on. So just make one final point.
We are worried. We are worried about that because we always complaining. But you find out the officers, if we are overtaking them, they give us fine. And those trucks are not right. Look what happened now. Number two. I did ask about Comrade Matabat 2 days back that if ANC, they can act on this matter. Because I don't remember Pudukwani giving ANC a headache. That's only provinces.
Okay, so you're saying they must act on this matter, but we need to move on. I need to give others a chance as well. Thabo, thank you for that. Right. Not personal, but we just need to allocate enough time to enough callers. Let's get to some other comments via WhatsApp. Voice notes. If you are voice noting, please keep it about 30 seconds. It really makes a difference. Here's another one about the crime. In fact, before we get to that, here's an issue we covered just now.
I think Mandla Mandela should have known what he's getting himself into. I mean, being the son of grandson of the icon Nelson Mandela.
But I'm not too sure what you mean by that. Like, are you saying he doesn't know, but he should know? He knows what he's getting into, clearly.
Ashraf and the SFM listener, what is happening in Western Cape is very, very out of order. But what I know about the government, they will say if maybe the police start to shooting those people who always carrying the guns whenever, saying like this is against humanity, if maybe they're going to shoot them back. But those people, the government is there when they shooting the people. I don't know whether it's within the humanity or it's against the humanity when what they're doing. You can't just like maybe leaving the thugs shooting the people and say it's against the humanity if you shoot him back.
Well, look, I think it's a bit complicated in the sense that, how many police officers can you have for people? I mean, you can't have a million people and a million officers. You just practically can't do that. So you're going to find when there's thugs and there's police, criminals, then you're going to have a situation where they just don't have capacity, which is something I know we've touched on so often before, isn't it?
Good afternoon, Ashraf and the fellow listeners of SFM. Ashraf, since our laws are failing to deal with crime because they are part of it, the Panyazas, the Metro Corp, the police are so corrupt. Their name is bribery. Let's try to bring Santaco on board for 2 months and see the difference in our cities, because this association is being feared by people, is being feared by the government. Let's try and see the difference in a month or two. Brand Mobile Project.
Okay, bring Santaco on board. By the way, there's news about load shedding. I'll tell you about that in a moment.
With misinformation and disinformation around us all the time, where can we turn to for news and information that is not fake? Radio, of course, your number one trusted source of reliable and truthful news and information. For over 3 decades, we have been a signatory to the BCCSA Broadcasting Code of Conduct, and we pride ourselves as a trusted source of information. Say no to false news and disinformation that circulates online. Radio, keeping it real and fighting fake since day one. A message from the National Association of Broadcasters.
The National Pulse with Ashraf Garda. Weekdays, 3 to 6 p.m.
Okay, I've got some news about load shedding. What do you want to hear? The minister has spoken and the chairperson of Eskom has spoken around load shedding. And the confirmation is that there will be no load shedding through the whole of summer. If they're convinced of it, they've pronounced on it. So that's interesting. Maybe you can celebrate now. What else is there to celebrate? Let's talk about this issue. The KwaZulu-Natal MEC for Transport and Human Settlements, Siboniso Duma, has apologized to thousands of commuters who were left stranded during the 2-day strike in Durban. So let's get more on that with the KZN MEC for Transport, the spokesperson, in fact, for the KZN MEC for Transport and Human Settlements, and the spokesperson is Indabezinhle Sibi. I appreciate your time. Thanks for connecting with us on the National Pulse.
No, thank you very much, Ashraf, and good afternoon to the SFM listeners.
Thank you. I mean, it's an interesting one. Why was there a need to apologize? I mean, I know obviously that there are people disrupted, but why was there a need for the MEC to apologize?
Well, no, first and foremost, it is important to indicate that we had, a 12-hour-long meeting, which was chaired by the mayor of eThekwini, Cyril Xaba. He brought on board, his, competent team led by the city manager, Musa Mbele. And on the side of the Department of Transport, the MEC, Siboniso Duma, also mandated a team, very competent and dedicated team from the provincial, regulatory entity led by Sifundiswa Lunga. That team met with the eThekwini Metro Taxi Council, and you see, we emerged from that meeting with the strategic resolutions, which were then refined yesterday in a meeting convened by MEC Duma. And we emerged from the last meeting yesterday, and we spoke with one voice. Number one, the Taxi Council from eThekwini apologized to the passengers, for the inconvenience, the people of Durban and surrounding areas for the inconvenience. And obviously, because we were holding hands and speaking with one voice, it was very important for the MEC as well to extend an apology, to the passenger. So I'm just giving you a context, under which the MEC apologized. So we emerged from that meeting speaking with one voice. The taxi, operators, especially the leadership of eThekwini Metro Taxi Council, holding hands, with the leadership of the provincial government, Department of Transport, as well as the eThekwini Metro, pulling in the same direction. So that is, how we ended our meeting yesterday.
I understand. Let's go back in terms of understanding what were the issues and to what degree is it resolved? And maybe the bigger one is, how do you prevent this disruption again?
Let us first and foremost indicate that, the Claremont and Guatabega Taxi Association, made a very strategic, decision to work with the Department of Transport as well as eThekwini Metro. Recall that a couple of days ago, we had that unfortunate incident in Guatabega, the KK section, where there were actually skirmishes. There was apparently an attack on the Uber driver. the e-hailing driver, it was alleged that he had been attacked by the taxi operators. So what the MEC Siboniso Duma suggested is that, we had to move in very quickly. He interacted with the Lieutenant General Nkatam Kwanaze so that to stabilize, the area and prevent any, repeat of the skirmishes that we witnessed in Maponya Mall. So working with Claremont and Guatabega Church Association, we managed, to turn things around. We brought on board the KZN e-hailing council, and we were able to, meet with the station commander there. We brought on board other relevant key stakeholders. We agreed that we needed to, prevent any bloodshed. But unfortunately, there was also another, area of, concern. The impounding of vehicles, the taxis belonging to the Guatabega and the Claremont Taxi Association. Well, it was because of, the lack of certain documents like the permits. That is why those cars were impounded. So it became an issue which was then championed by the newly elected leadership of, eThekwini Metro Council. And that is why we also witnessed the strike, because there are a number of issues that they raised, which were traced out in the meeting that, took place the day before yesterday as well as yesterday afternoon. In the main, you look at the issue of the law enforcement, the issue of e-hailing, and many more other issues that relate to the public transport system.
Okay, let's leave it at that. Appreciate you giving us an update on that issue, starting with an apology, certainly from the MEC for Transport and Human Settlements, Siboniso Duma, regarding the disruptions in that region of KZN over the last couple of days, with many commuters left stranded. And that was Indabezinhle Sibia, the spokesperson for the KZN MEC for Transport and Human Settlements. Right, 4:30, it's time for the news heads.
Thank you, Ashraf. On the news headlines, Gauteng police are looking for 4 suspects after a prominent insolvency attorney was shot dead at his practice in Saxonwold, Johannesburg. The Northwest Housing Corporation has been interdicted from auctioning properties in Mabopane, Pretoria, belonging to the city of Tshwane, and Tesla's board is proposing a new pay package for its South African-born CEO Elon Musk that is valued at close to $1 trillion. A full update follows at the top of the with Greg House.
SAFM, guiding you through the rush hour traffic.
Good afternoon. Starting off in Gauteng, the N1 northbound in Pretoria has a stationary vehicle after Rigel Avenue. The N12 has delays near the R554 Lenasia exit and the M1 southbound slow moving towards Boysons. In KZN, the M13 westbound in Hillcrest queuing towards Old Main Road. The N2 southbound has a stationary vehicle before Spaghetti Junction, and on the M7 a crash on the link to the N2 south. In Cape Town, the R300 southbound slow-moving towards the N2 highway, the M5 southbound slow-moving towards the N2 highway, and the R44 southbound in Stellenbosch, queuing at Allendale Road. With your traffic update, I'm Irma G.
This is SAFM Sports with Tuming Khapele.
So Tumi's been saying there's the big one. There's Bafana playing today.
Yeah.
It's the Springboks playing tomorrow, the women's rugby team on Sunday. And then you've got a nerve to wear a sports top that is none of those, that doesn't reflect any of the three. You better confess.
So I am wearing a motorsport jersey. This is specifically Toyota Gazoo Racing Team jersey.
Right.
They are competing in Dakar. So today, just earlier before coming to work, I had an out-of-body experience because I went in one of those cars with the drivers and they were driving in the very same speed that they drive in at Dakar.
Shall we hold your hand? Are you okay now?
Oh my goodness, guys.
What speed? You didn't even count.
Oh my goodness, I'm gonna post it on Instagram also, because they also had a GoPro inside the car. But they, when you get to a curve, you'll slow down and perhaps you'll try. No, they just keep going. They go at full speed. It was amazing. But yeah.
So what's more difficult, to host a live TV or radio show, or to be sitting in a car, a racing car, as a passenger?
Definitely as a passenger. being in that car as
Please
a
tag
passenger.
us on that Instagram post, myself and SM Radio. We need to share it. Yeah.
I will. I definitely will. But we're looking forward to the action that is happening this evening at 6 p.m. All roads lead to Bloemfontein for what is Bafana Bafana's second consecutive return to that Free State capital as they look for a good result against Lesotho in the 2026 FIFA World Cup qualifiers. So head coach Hugo Bruce's 5-year contract with the South African Football Association ends next year, and he says that he's hoping to end his tenure and football career on a high.
40 years ago, it will be 40 years next year that I did the World Championship in Mexico as a player. It should be fantastic to do it as a trainer 40 years later. And I said it already before, this is my last job as a coach. I'm 73. I'm not going on till I'm 80. So, yeah, it should be a nice moment to stop. And I'm really very motivated, and also my team to achieve that. And again, it's when you have a career as a coach like that, to play a World Cup, I don't think that so much coaches have the opportunity to do that. I think it should be the right moment to stop.
I think he's really had a great career and he's done well for Bafana Bafana. It would be such a bummer if Bafana Bafana miss out on the World Cup qualification because of this ineligible play.
So I was going to ask you, what has happened about that story?
Mokoena was
Yeah.
not supposed to play because he was supposed to have 2 suspensions, but he only served 1 suspension. And Lesotho is saying right now that should he play today, they are going to protest because we're still waiting on to hear from FIFA because they did protest, but they said
So
it was
when will
too
FIFA
late.
tell us after the World Cup or what?
Come again?
When will FIFA tell us after the World Cup?
We are yet to see how long. It can't be after the World Cup, definitely not. But I'm hoping that it really doesn't come to a point where Bafana are missing out on this qualification because they are docked 3 points. Because now everyone is saying they need to win against Lesotho. They need to win against Nigeria just in case those points
So for
are
now,
docked.
you wouldn't pick Mokoena, would you? Would you take a chance?
No. Absolutely not.
Yeah.
But talking about Lesotho, their national head coach Leslinzo Notsi says that it would be a massive milestone if the team can pull off a shocking result against Bafana.
The game of Friday, it's a game of must win. We can't afford ourselves to lose points against Lesotho. And that doesn't mean that I underestimate that opponent. That is the biggest mistake we can make now, that to think that, okay, it's only Lesotho and we will win. Lesotho plays a draw in Nigeria last year, I think.
All right, then, apologies for the wrong clip. It is still Hugo Bruce there, just talking about them facing Lesotho. Will play that one just a bit later. But on to motorsport, Lewis Hamilton and Charles Leclerc finished 1-2 in the first practice at the Italian Grand Prix to get Ferrari's home race weekend off to a great start. Hamilton clocked 0.169 seconds faster than his teammate. Leclerc ending in 0.364 seconds clear of Williams driver Carlos Sainz in the third place, and Red Bull's Max Verstappen was 4th fastest ahead of Mercedes' Kimi Antonelli and McLaren's Lando Norris. Now, Norris comes into the weekend with a 34-point deficit in the championship to teammate Oscar Piastri, whose car was driven in his first session by McLaren protege Alex Dunn. Then in boxing, former world champions Mike Tyson and Floyd Mayweather are set to come back to the ring to compete in an exhibition bout next year. More details regarding this in terms of the date, location, broadcasters and the rules are still to be announced. And Tyson is a former undisputed heavyweight champion, while Mayweather retired undefeated after 50 fights, winning multiple titles across a number of weight classes. And I was just reading about Mayweather and why he would be interested in this particular fight, and he says it's always about business, Ashraf. But
okay.
It's always about business. It's about the money. So, we're waiting to hear when that one would be. But it seems like this whole thing of boxers taking part, I mean, Mayweather has been taking part in exhibition matches since his retirement. So, how this one is going to do?
That's why I must say I watch much less of boxing compared to before, because just the nature of it. They just want money and they know there's a big following, which obviously allows them to command the money. But
Yeah.
a lot of it is just,
Money.
well, money, fun. You know, it doesn't have the prestige like of a world championship that you would say.
Absolutely not.
Because you retire, you come back a month later, you retire. I don't know. No.
Yeah.
I'd rather talk about motor racing and being a co-pilot in a car at 350 kilometers an hour or something like that.
Crazy. I'll have more in the next hour.
You are the biggest saver we've ever had.
2,794 Rand a month. It was the easiest switch ever.
What was the real deal they could offer you?
870.
That's amazing. You're always getting something out.
Yeah.
I've been battling to get nice car insurance. Outsurance, I found them. I'm saving a cool $360.
Get the real deal with the real savings.
I made the right move.
Go to outsurance.co.za now for a 10-minute quote that could save you thousands.
Just phone Outsurance, get a quote and see what they can offer you. If you don't save that 321 like I did, you might say get a 500 or $1,000 back. Service and savings, you'll always get something out.
How is it that Outsurance provided the solution for you? 918 Rand is what I'm saving.
Incredible. What brought you and Outsurance together?
718 Rand. I end up saving.
They gave you the real deal.
It literally is the real deal.
Go to outsurance.co.za now for a 10-minute quote that could save you thousands. Licensed insurer and FSP. T's, C's and information online.
SM Velo ladies are going all out for maximum points, but the University of Fort Hare ladies trust their level of football intelligence to grab vital points. This is the Hollywood Men's Super League. Catch SM Velo ladies versus University of Fort Hare ladies the Sunday 7th September at 2:30 p.m. Live on SABC 1 and everywhere for everyone, always on SABC Plus. Proudly brought to you by SABC Sport.
For the love of the game.
Catch SAFM live on Thursday, 18 September at the TBCSA Tourism Leadership Conference. Conversations shaping the future of tourism. Brought to you by the TBCSA, the leading voice of tourism in South Africa.
Economic news on SAFM. Facts and figures you can count on.
So what are the money matters matter on the last day of the week, isn't it? Paswane and Patlele with me from Macquarie Fund Managers. Right, you got news, local, global, what is it?
Afternoon, Ashraf. Happy Friday to everyone. Well, we received the big data on the risk event of the day, which was the U.S. labor data. It was reflected that the unemployment rate is set at 4.3%, while we've seen that the jobs created were disappointing, coming up at 22,000 versus the 75,000 expected. This has triggered the momentum to hold for interest rate cuts in the U.S. later in the month, reflected with the yields dropping like a stone, along with the dollar down 0.6%. This ultimately has been positive for the stock market globally. And when we look at inflation reactions, commodities reactions to this, we see the likes of gold up 1.2% at $3,587 an ounce bullish, along with platinum up 0.6 at $1,385 an ounce. Oil continues to pull back in this bearish weakness momentum, down 1.9% on supply issues and $65.50 a barrel. And when we look at the likes of Bitcoin, it resumed its uptrend to 113,000, but has faded now back down into weakness at 111,000. Well, and then now when you look at market pricing, there's stability, that is, there's uncertainty about stability, and therefore making the next week inflation data point from the US a very key to give us more accurate pricing in terms of the reflection on the stagflation momentum when we look at the likes of the US. Overall, when we look at equities, we saw the US indices hitting all-time highs, but they have now faded back. We see in the US Nasdaq down 0.2, S&P down 0.4, Dow down 0.6. In the Europe, the DAX and the CAC are down 0.4 at the back of poor data from Germany in terms of factory orders, and France with the political developments going into the weekend. JSE, we hold gains, we add to the weekly gains. And JSE is up 1.6, boosted by our resource sector up 3%, financials up 1.2, and industrials up 1%. When you look at the currency space, the rand is back at better footing to see when we started the week. Rand against the dollar is at 17.55, rand against the euro 20.60, and rand against the pound 23.76.
Right, perfect. Thanks for that, Paswane, and you have a great weekend. We will certainly connect with you on Monday, right? It means it's time for you to air your views. You're on the pulse. I need to feel your pulse. And don't forget John Carney coming up after 5.
You are listening to the National Pulse with Ashraf Garda.
So I just wonder, what do you make of the, now we have this date of the inquiry starting on the 17th of September. It should have started on the 1st of September, so it's starting on the 17th. But that's fairly imminent, another week, but still, what do you make of that? Here's further comments from you. I'll get your calls. Like, you know the story, you can call in live, 086 000 2032, then WhatsApp 0614 104 107. Tweet using the hashtag The National Pulse. And by the way, we've had a few people asking me questions about, they've got some suggestions for the program or they want some answers. The best way to do that is just drop us an email to feedback@safm.co.za. You got that? Feedback@safm.co.za. Right, let's get feedback about ACDP.
Good afternoon, Ashraf and your guests. It's actually good. It's actually great to hear a pastor speak the way he is speaking. I mean, every pastor, I can even point out that the ACDP leader supports the genocide that is happening in Gaza, and it's all because of this Christianity. I don't know what to call it. I don't want to be harsh, but people are so blindfolded by this Christianity that they think what Israel is doing is right. It's wrong. I support this pastor that is talking now, that is your guest on your show, Pindile in Stegspruit. Thank you, Ashraf.
Well, thank you for that, Pindile. I think the term you're talking about is you get Zionism, and then you get it's a phrase that's been used often called Christian Zionism, and you can work that out. But yeah, point taken. Listen to that podcast of the bishop, or not the bishop, of the leader, because I certainly cannot say bishop, right? But certainly the two guests we had regarding the flotilla, and a very interesting one, of course, was Mandla Mandela, and then the reference being made was the person that we chatted to as well, that represented a significant church position in South Africa. I'll get his name again in a moment or so. In fact, that's Reverend Moss Incla, the General Secretary of the Evangelical Alliance of South Africa. Right, there's more thoughts from you.
Good afternoon, Ashraf. Ashraf Matabu. Ashraf, I'm listening to people who are saying things about ANC, and of which they are not members of ANC. I mean, a member of ANC would not say, vote ANC out. A member will only say, let the ANC be given a space to clean itself and get its house in order. So people such as this guy who's calling from Western Cape, I think he's the last person to talk about the issue of voting ANC out, because the DA in Western Cape has problems with crime and they are unable to deal with it. Thank you.
Okay, got that. Interesting take on that. Here's another one about the ANC.
Good afternoon, Ashraf. Mr. Ayer Khawbuthintau. My brother, there is no discipline in ANC. That lady must not fool us here. ANC is a criminal enterprise. It's an organization for the corrupt people. So he must not come here and tell us that ANC it's discipline. There is no discipline in ANC. ANC is a party of the people who are looting the state money. I thank you.
Okay, there we are. Let's just delete some of those WhatsApps, but there's more. There's a conversation I had yesterday about this.
Hey, Ashraf, someone is spoken about Kusila Diko. I want to talk about Dr. Andile Masuku. Twice I have seen him on TV talking, especially yesterday after Panyaza was talking. I thought Dr. Masuku had stepped aside. Can someone find out what's happening? Is he back full time? Was he cleared? Thanks, Espongi here.
Okay, we'll get absolute clarity on that. I'll just get Keys and Temba just to update us completely so we get it right.
Good afternoon, Ashraf and the fellow listeners of SFM. Ashraf, since our laws are failing to deal with crime because they are part of it, the Panyazas, the Metro Corp, the police are so corrupt. Their name is bribery. Let's try to bring Santaco on board for 2 months and see the difference in our cities, because this association is being feared by people, it's being feared by the government. Let's try and see the difference in a month or two. Brian Mabai, Protect.
Brian. Right. What about you calling in? 086 000 2032. You know, on a Friday, we have the fireside chat. So the calls after 5 is linked specifically to my guest, which will just so happens to be John Carney, by the way. So if you have any issues around the commission inquiry, about the flotilla, about the new political party, now officially with Floyd Shivambu heading it up, Africa Maibuye, around the ANC issue, around Limpopo, any of those things and more, you can call in live. I'll take it now. 086 000 2032 and then WhatsApp to 0614 104 107. So if I ask you this question, what today, not yesterday, today, what for you moves the national pulse? What will you tell me?
The Morning Brief.
From this conversation about the digital economy, influencers and content creators against the bigger scheme of what they're trying to raise by way of revenue for the fiscus. Is this really something that's viable, that can be a big source of taxes?
I think it is, because number one is, you must remember, SARS is now like Big Brother. Whatever you do, whatever goes via your bank account, whatever you are doing on social media, etc., SARS is watching you like Big Brother. And because of that extended reach in terms of technology and your social media, so even before you think you know it, SARS knows it already.
Professor Rashid Small, Executive Manager of the African Virtual Institute of Accountancy.
Thulasizwe Simelane on The Morning Brief. You're listening to the National Pulse.
There's more from you. So there we are. We got confirmation. If you can call it a confirmation, there will be no load shedding for the rest of the summer. I mean, party, man. Should be having a party.
Ashraf, ESCOM must not lie to people. There's no load shedding at the expense of load reduction. A lot of communities are complaining about load reduction, and ESCOM is not fixing the problem. You'll find that in one transformer, they've got 2 people who are buying electricity, but load reduction affects everyone. So that's unfair. They can't celebrate no load shedding, because most of us are suffering 4 hours every day, every week, of no electricity. So they must not lie to us.
Okay, can't defend that. No load shedding, but we certainly have no electricity in many parts of the country.
Ashraf, good afternoon. I'm Takatayo in Landi location of Imvawa. It's touching me, this thing of the black on black violence. There is a taxi owner who's killed in Cape Town Strand, and this thing of Mvelase was going to be buried now, I think tomorrow, in Kwanongom, if I'm not mistaken, in Tebe. I mean, these things really, they show us that we are not respecting our lives, we black people. My big question is, can't we find solution, people? Can't we find solution? That is my concern.
Do you highlight it as black on black, or you just say violence or murder, people being killed? What's the difference, I mean, between the two? Malusi in Limpopo, what's your point?
Good afternoon, Ashraf.
How's it, man? Good afternoon.
And to listeners. Ashraf, I hear people are celebrating load shedding, and there's a voice note that I think it just came up that talk about 4 hours suffering. Ashraf, I'm staying in Steelport. There's a small township called Longton, Tokahomo. We experiencing what you call load reduction. And that happens every morning from 5 o'clock when you go to work, before you go to work, and in the evening during peak hours. I'm asking myself, has ESCOM has solution for places where they don't buy electricity? Because I want to buy electricity, Ashraf. So my request to ESCOM is that can they just find a solution? If they have to arrest people who are tampering with their network. They can do that because it costs us a lot, Ashraf. It's a human right to have an electricity and water. But Eskom is denying that for us 4 hours a day.
Okay, but if somebody steals, cabling, for example, and as a result there's no electricity, does that mean that Eskom is denying you that? I'm just saying. Or do we have this terrible robbery criminal problem that affects every aspect of South African society, and the Eskom factor plays a role in that as well? That means it manifests in the fact that you have then load shedding or no lights. Yeah.
Yeah, yes, Ashraf. Because just finally, the thing is, if I buy electricity, and like for an example, they had a solution in Soweto where they do audits, and then they cut off those who are illegally connected on the network. Why cannot they do that? And if you repeat offender, they just have to use a way of legal route to arrest those people.
Okay, well, I hear you. Maybe there's celebration that they said there'll be no load shedding, but if you're having a type of load reduction, then there's no reason for you to celebrate. But listen. It's a lot better in the last year since that, just before the election, than it was in the previous 5 years. There's absolutely no question about that. True, right?
Good afternoon, Ashraf. It's Hamilton here. But it looks like for Cape Town criminals, the safe place for them to unalive someone is inside the courts. This year alone, there has been more than 3 shootings that took place inside the courts. So it looks like it is safe for them to commit their crimes inside the courts.
Well, I think the point is, as you say, safe. It certainly means they believe they can get away with it, right?
Good afternoon, Ashraf, in this FM listeners. Ashraf, some people need to be educated enough to understand the dynamics of the economics. I'm surprised someone will advocate to ban trucks from SADC region to come to South Africa. It means that person doesn't know how much jobs are generated by that transport. It's a multi-billion dollar industry. And besides that, people were fighting to accelerate Africa free trade within African region and states. Then we've got somebody who is trying to advocate to say trucks from Zambia, trucks from Zimbabwe, trucks from Malawi must not come to South Africa. Come on, people must understand the economics. Thanks, James Johannesburg.
Okay, got that. Well, there's a price to pay when you burn things down, and you never really recover from that, do you?
Good afternoon, Ashraf. To that caller there about the ANC, Kgalema Motlanthe also said ANC should get us off power so they can wake up. He said ANC must lose elections. He is a member of the ANC and is very senior.
Okay. Interesting you bring up Kgalema Motlante's point. Feel free, any further calls. I can't believe we haven't had anybody commenting about Africa Maibuya, the new political party, and what it means. Obviously, Floyd Shivambu is the head, is no surprises, but do you have an opinion on that?
Ashraf, firstly, a very senior politician within the African National Congress, Kgalema Motlanthe, once called for the ANC to be removed from power. So that gentleman probably doesn't know his facts. Secondly, I want to talk about these commissions. Right from the Truth and Reconciliation Commission, the Seriti Commission, and many other commissions, we have never seen anything positive coming out of that. I think this is one of those things, again, just for us to be put to sleep. And that's it. It will be the end of it. So that Mkwanazi thing, we are just as well being played.
We are being played. Do you see it like that? We are being played. In fact, interesting one, there's been huge talk. That's something we touched on a few days ago. That is Rise Mzansi, Build One South Africa, and the Good Party will be planning a move to form one party and it could well be announced on Sunday. That's the plan. Whether that's true or not, because I think the big question is what about the leadership? We don't really know that. So whether that's going to happen on Friday or Sunday or not, I don't know. But it seems like things are happening. Tim says, Ashraf, what moves my pulse daily is you. Nobody has ever told me that, but okay, fine, I take it, right? Right. So what about, any thoughts on that in terms of, so if you had a vote with those three parties, I believe Action SA is out of that equation. If you had a vote for those three parties and they come together on Sunday or Monday or whenever, and how would you see that configuration of the leadership? Because we now have got three leaders of three different political parties, all very, very prominent, right? Who's going to be in charge? President, deputy, secretary general, whatever, they may call themselves. And if it's left to you, how would you see that? But the other parties, do you think that this is the way it's going to be as we build up to the election? Africa Maibuya coming together, they need to get their act together in advance, ahead of that, let's say 1 year from now election. And other political parties understand that you may well form, collaboration agreements later on. But what you really need, and this is the point, a strong centrist party. And at the moment, if you've got the ANC as this centrist party, then you've got the DA on the one side as a choice, and you've got, the MK party and the EFF on the other. And if you don't want the DA, you don't want the EFF and the MK party, what are the choices do you have? Where do you actually go? Therefore, the move to say, hey, we need to form the strong centrist party, whether it's enough, because a party with a few, 3%, 4% of the votes, not going to change anything. President Ramaphosa once said the ANC is accused number one, comes from Mtunzi. All right, let's leave it at that. Let me just tell you as well that, every Friday we have this fireside chat where we speak to a guest for an hour. It's really interesting. Today, it's John Carney. So what would be your question you'd want to ask John Carney? I could ask him 1,000 questions, but if you've got just one, think about it. Here's the news with Greg.
Thank you, Ashraf. Search for attorney killers, a new pay package for Elon Musk. Good day to you. Police are looking for 4 suspects after a prominent insolvency attorney was shot and killed at his practice in Saxonville, Johannesburg. Police spokesperson Dimakatso Nebahulwi says 4 men came to the practice under the pretense of being clients who had booked an appointment. He says 2 men went inside and while in the boardroom, gunshots were heard.
The unknown man fled the scene and the 43-year-old attorney was declared dead on the scene. The motive of the attack is unknown at this stage and police investigations are underway. It is requested that anyone who may have information that can assist with police investigations in this matter to contact the Crime Stop line at 08600 10111 or alternatively give anonymous tip-offs on MySubs app, which can be downloaded on any smartphone. Police investigations continue.
Parliament's ad hoc committee set up to probe threats to national security is aiming to have its first hearing on the 16th of this month. An alternative date is the 22nd. That's the word from the committee chairperson, Mulapile Khanyane. The committee was established following allegations by the KZN Police Commissioner of serious corruption in the criminal justice system. The chairperson explains.
By the 15th of October, the technical team must start preparing the report, which should be ready for the National Assembly on the 31st of October. In the event, the committee anticipates that it will not conclude its work at that time. It is the decision that this committee can make to make an application to the office of the Speaker to request for an extension.
The North West Housing Corporation has been interdicted from auctioning properties in Mapupane, north of Pretoria, which belong to the city of Tshwane. The city approached the High Court following the corporation's advertising of a bulk sale of more than 400 mixed-use properties, which were to be disposed of through an online auction. City spokesperson Sabi Bukaba elaborates on the court ruling.
Also ordered and directed the North West Housing Corporation to produce for inspection within 14 days from the date of the granting of the order its asset register, which the city has been battling to access. The register relates to all the properties which the North West Housing Corporation purport to have authority to sell. Furthermore, The respondent, in this case, the Northwest Housing Corporation, was also ordered to pay the city's legal costs.
African Maya Buya Movement has been unveiled as a political party with 2 deputy presidents. Floyd Shivambu, who will lead the party as the president, announced Robert Wedo and Lububale Mkinga as the party's 2 deputy presidents. And Wedo is the president of the Mande Ashu Workers Union of SA, while Mkinga is a former EFF MP. Shivambu says the launch of Maya Buya concludes its national consultation process.
So we are fighting for total freedom and emancipation now. We are fighting for total political freedom and emancipation now. We're fighting for total economic freedom and emancipation now. We're fighting for cultural freedom and decolonization now. We're fighting to build a capable developmental state now. And we're fighting to be a caring and responsive people's movement.
Now with international news, Tesla's board is proposing a new pay package for its South African-born CEO Elon Musk that is valued at close to $1 trillion. Sherwin Bryce Peace reports.
The financial filing with the Securities and Exchange Commission, which contained the new proposed pay package, comes about a month after the company's board approved a stock award for Musk to the tune of $29 billion. In the filing, Tesla says it did not currently have a long-term CEO performance award in place to retain and incentivize Musk to focus his energies on the car company that recently suffered sharp sales and brand declines due to his foray into politics. To receive the full compensation, Musk would need to meet the goal of raising Tesla's market cap from $1 trillion to around $8.5 trillion within the next 10 years, and will see him get 1% in equity for each $500 billion increase in Tesla's market cap. Sherwin Ricebees, SABC News, New York.
The top story, police are looking for 4 suspects after a prominent attorney was shot and killed at his practice in Saxon World in Johannesburg. That's SAFM News. I'm Greg Coase.
In sports, Bafana I World Cup doorstep. Lacha leads rotated woman aside, and Ferrari finished 1-2 in P1 of Italian Grand Prix. More details at 5:30.
SAFM, guiding you through the rush hour traffic.
Good afternoon. Starting off in Gauteng, the N1 southbound in Midrand, a crash before Beklu interchange. All lanes are open. The R59 southbound in Alberton has a crash reported before Swartkoppies Road, and on Solomon Mhlangu Drive in Pretoria, a crash near Delphi Avenue. In KZN, the N3 eastbound in Pietermaritzburg, queuing towards Market Road. The M13 westbound in Hillcrest, queuing towards Old Main Road. In Cape Town, the N2 outbound slow-moving towards Bunga Avenue. The N1 outbound is slow-moving, approaching Okavango Road. And on Plattekloof Road, a crash reported at Rothschild Boulevard. With your traffic update, I'm Irma G.
This Heritage Month, SAFM invites you to journey into the past while shaping the future under the theme, Reimagine Our Heritage Institutions for a New Era. We celebrate the stories, traditions, and voices that define who we are as a nation. From vibrant conversations to thought-provoking debates, SAFM is where heritage meets innovation, connecting generations and keeping our culture alive in a changing world. SAFM, leading the conversations that move us. The SAFM University Debate Challenge is back. The University of KwaZulu-Natal will take on the University of Zululand in what promises to be a nail-biting debate. Join us for the 1-hour debate on This Week Today with Oliver Dixon from 6 to 7 p.m. on Friday, the 5th of September 2025. The SAFM University Debate Challenge is an independent, non-partisan progressive initiative seeking to develop confident communicators, critical thinkers, and empowered global citizens. SAFM, leading the conversations that move us. The National Pulse with Ashraf Garda on SAFM. You're listening to the National Pulse. Weekdays, 3 to 6 p.m.
So I get a call or a WhatsApp about 2 months ago from a person who says, Ashraf, I can meet you tomorrow. And I tell myself, okay, let me cancel whatever else I'm doing so I can meet him for coffee in the morning. And then 2 weeks ago, I meet him at the launch of the National Dialogue, of all places. And now he's seated right across me. So, John Carney, thank you. Thanks for the invitation for the coffee we had 2 months ago, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you. Thank you for that coffee.
And thank you. But thanks for being here.
Oh, SAFM and all the radio. When television came, there was the biggest fear that that's the end of radio. And then when social media and TikTok and all those kinds of communicating media, that's the end of radio. You can't end radio. It is part of our breathing. We spend how many hours a day in your car?
Well, that's true. Why is radio working where, you mentioned digital. So, print is taking a dive, right? There's even a sense that visual television, traditional, people are migrating to, social platforms and they're watching videos there. Why is radio got its place?
Radio has not yet been tainted completely with fake news, with disinformation or misinformation. Radio is always aligned to the integrity of the person behind the mic. And if Ashraf Garda, if so-and-so, if John Carney is so-and-so, we seem to believe in that particular person. Mm-hmm. We also understand that they have some form of autonomy within their programs and how they communicate with the public out there. And two, they also have their own reputation at stake, because they will go back to that humanity having told lies about that whole community. So there is that little bit of editorial freedom, so to speak, because when you are a radio personality or like you program, we expect you to go in a very unbiased way, deep into the matter of what you want to be discussed.
There's depth.
There's depth, but we do believe who you are. That is why when my people would say, someone wants to talk to you, is radio, what? I said, no, I'm not going there. Because I know what we're going to talk about, But that's what radio, even in America with podcasts and everything, it's still the radio. When I've just come back from Washington, D.C. To do Kunene and the King, and I just said, I want community radios.
Really?
Yes, because I know this will sell out the season, because people in the community remember you. They know you. They've seen your movies, your television. They've read your books. They've seen you on the news. And they are the people that are going to say, oh, by the way, he's got to play at the Shakespeare Theatre Company this evening. Community radio. When I perform in Johannesburg, anywhere, I said, well, we'll do the major ones. We'll do radio major. But the ones that really make my people come are the community radios.
Okay.
Because they're sitting at home, those old ladies, and says, oh, is it on? And one of my most beautiful ones, after doing Kunene and the King, and this young girl comes to me with mother and said, my mother wants to say congratulations. I said, fantastic. So I put my hand out. She goes her hand on the other way. And I realized she's blind.
Okay.
So I hold her and I said, thank you, ma'am. She says, thank you. I've seen all your plays. I'm glad you decided to write this one. I have seen all your plays. That's radio.
You're quite a legend, right? I'm looking at Phineas, our technical controller, and he's not looking at the buttons. He's looking at you all the time, like. There's nothing wrong in that, right? How would you describe yourself just in one word? No long, paragraph, just one word. John Carney, what?
A storyteller.
Storyteller.
Oh, I love Once Upon a Time. I sit down when you start a story because we're going to be told a story. I love telling stories. What they're about is another issue, but just a story.
Tell me the story about your cap. All I can see the word king there. But you better tell me more.
This cap is the Mufasa, the Lion King.
Okay.
The latest installment, directed by Barry Jenkins, the Oscar award-winning director. And this one is like a prequel to the latest one before. This is how Mufasa met Scar.
Okay, so it
which
goes
is
all the way
Taka.
to the
It
beginning.
goes all the way back, and it ends immediately what is now the reign of Mufasa, of Simba as head of Pride Rock. It ends there.
Okay. And you played a role in that. I mean,
I played Rafiki.
The famous Rafiki.
The famous Rafiki. I remember when I did the first installment and I met John Favreau and we talked about these lions. I said, I got one question. Where are these lions? He says, what do you mean? I said, no, all these lions, Rafiki, Mufasa, and Simba, are they in a zoo in Oklahoma?
Yeah.
Or are they somewhere in Africa? He says, oh, well, they are in Africa. Oh, so they speak Swahili, Sikosa, Sisutu, Tonga, Venda, Pedi. Because my father speaks to his dog in Isikos. He doesn't say to his dog, sit. He says, get out. Puma, Salapans. And the dog obeys. Therefore, if I am in Kruger National Park or I am in Nyelezi in Kenya and I meet a lion, they speak my language. So these lions, these animals are in Africa. And that's how you'd find that in Rafiki, there are these wonderful vignettes of indigenous languages of Africa.
Wonderful.
I brought them in so that it is an authenticity.
Well, can you give us I asked you this when we met up for coffee before, but I'll do it again. Give us like a Rafiki one-liner.
Lalel, Pulapul, Simba, Kolasel. Tell me, who are you? No, here comes a person who says, who am I? I know who I am. Who are you?
There we are. Well, the storyteller is telling story, John Carney. Great to have you with us till 6 o'clock, right? How? I mean, you've obviously done so many things, right? But without spending too much time, because there's never going to be enough time. You know, 3 things for you that for you would be like your greatest achievement.
One is to convince my father, when I'd already on my way to Fort Hare to study law. And my uncle, who was like my eldest brother, was arrested, sent to Robben Island for his activities within the youth. And my father said, sorry, I can't make it. You can't go to Fort Hare. And then I had to make a decision. And there was only one choice, to leave the country as we were being recruited, or to look at the family and said, it's got to be something I can do. And I decided that I was going to be a writer first. I wanted to write stories. And I then joined the Serpent Players in Port Elizabeth, who then I wanted to be an actor. And my father said, no. And my mother said, leave him alone. I've never seen him so happy and so at peace with himself. That was the beginning of my career.
Fascinating. What is it about writing before you became a writer that suggested that you are a writer?
Now, it was, my grandfather had 3 wives and could not spell polygamy.
And you could?
I could. All he knew, there's grandma 1, grandma 2, grandma 3, so what's your problem? And my grandfather did not believe what he called the Jewish faith.
Yeah.
He said it had nothing to do with Abraham and Joseph and God and Jesus. They've got nothing to do with him. He truly believed in the ancestors, in the African mythology. And he knew that when he dies, he's going to become an ancestor. Number 2, my grandfather did not believe in education because it meant the children are being taught another culture outside his own, and they now know more respecting the processes of being educated than working with him on the fields. Right. And then each grandmother gave us lessons. Grandma 1 said I was a descendant of great Xhosa kingdoms. In fact, Matanzima came from the line of the second wife, meaning Indresnin.
Okay.
And then Iqat. We are from the main house. But my great-great-grandfather had gone away when the king died. Therefore, that's how we are not kings. I knew she wasn't telling me the truth.
Well, you're not kings, but you're the Lion King.
But she was instilling in me that confidence of who I am.
Okay, so writing is something At what age did you feel that you had the gift for it? Because, I mean, there must have been a moment, besides being able to spell polygamy correctly,
no,
that you realized, hold it, man.
Right, even a township in the 1950s, when we wrote little sketches in 1958, I was always the one who would prepare the sketch for the school or the sketch in the township. Mm-hmm. And then we would talk about a young man who falls in love with a girl, and the girl's father is a priest in the church, and he is what we'd call today Iginza. He is like, he's a thug, really. But then how do we get the Mfundises to accept that his daughter could go out with this township lout by making him accept Jesus? Oh, I was famous with my mother's friends in church. Yeah. Oh, Mdaga Sarah has written a beautiful thing about Jesus.
What about the acting part then? You know, one thing is writing. Not every writer is an actor. What suggested to you, and what is like your turning point?
Do you know when you go to the Bioscope in the late 50s and 60s, as soon as the lights came up, there was that kid in front that went, that was my job. Because my friends in the township couldn't speak English. So as the movie was going, I'm translating.
Okay.
What did throw your gun? Would you just take a chance? So I was the one you kept saying, ksh, ksh, ksh. So the storytelling came there of while the movie was going on, when those young men in New Brighton that didn't have money to go for a tikkie, which is about 5 cents today, my job was to tell what the movie was. In my stories, the Red Indians, Native Americans, they won against John Wayne. I twisted the ending.
Okay, did you?
I twisted the ending.
But you see, it shows you, and I had this conversation the other day, because, I mean, for example, when I played board games as a lighty, it wasn't board games, right? Even like soccer and cricket. For some reason, I would give commentary when I did that. What I didn't realize, I was setting myself up for a career in broadcasting.
In broadcast?
You don't know that. But I mean, there's a lesson in that, isn't it? That we don't observe enough of the talent of the children, and we think if they're good in that, that's just good for 2 years. But in reality, there's evidence that can manifest completely to say, holy, that's a career. You can spot it at a very early age.
This is exactly what my uncles and great aunts would say. We could see, quite Eddie, that this child is going to be a great storyteller. He always was telling stories. Even if I asked him, why didn't you wash the dishes in the kitchen? I got a long story. A story that says I wasn't there, that's why it was not my turn, it was my other sister's turn. But she said, just say, I'm sorry, I did not wash the dishes, and wash them for Christ's sake. So it was always there with me to tell stories. And we sit around against the fence and the guys are smoking this and that. I never smoked, I never drank. But I was caught one day by my uncle smoking dacha.
Yeah.
Not smoking in his eyes.
Okay.
Now I'm sitting with the guys and he pulls a drag. Now, the guy who wants the drag is on my left. Now, in the township, there's no bridge. You must hold it and hand it over to the guy next to you.
So you had it?
I had it in my hand and my uncle was standing right in front of me. Langa lokulungu, umntaka bhutu chaya insango. Oh, now I'm trying to explain, no, I'm just a bridge. You see, so that was the stories they all remember.
Well, listen, you are a bridge builder. That much I have no doubt about. John Carney is a bridge builder. He's done immense work in South Africa and all around the world. And the good news, we're going to talk to him up to 6 o'clock, in fact, here on the Friday Fireside Chat.
Do you know what's hiding behind colorful packaging of unhealthy food? Big food companies target children with unhealthy packaged foods that hide high levels of sugar, salt, and fat, which could lead to heart disease, diabetes, and hypertension. But the truth is hidden from consumers. Front of package warning labels are a proven solution to help consumers make informed decisions. The government must act now. We have the right to know what's in our food. Demand front of package warning labels. Sign the petition on heala.org, HEALA.org by 30 September.
Bafana Bafana will host Nigeria in a FIFA 2026 World Cup qualifier at the Toyota Stadium on Tuesday, 9 September at 6 p.m. Tickets are now available nationwide and online from 70 Rand for adults and 40 Rand for children at all Ticket Pro outlets, including Spar, Postnet, and all petrol stations. Get your tickets early to avoid disappointment. Come in Bafana Bafana supporter gear, ready to sing for a win. Gates will open at 3 p.m. If you are not in Bloemfontein, catch the game on SABC2. For more information, visit safa.net and at Bafana Bafana on all social media channels.
Keeping your family healthy this winter can feel like a daunting task. Try the Lung Shield range. It includes capsules to support healthy lungs and immunity, a syrup for kids that supports the immune system and promotes lung health, and an effervescent with 13 essential ingredients to optimize immune function. Put your family's health first this winter with the Lung Shield range. Available without a prescription at leading pharmacies. Lung Shield, prescribed by doctors, recommended by pharmacists.
X at SFM Radio and at Ashraf Garda.
Ron, there are very few people in South Africa. You just mentioned the name, no title. People know exactly who it is, and that's the case with John Carney. So I'm not going to say anything else about you, excepting that you part of this fireside chat, and thanks for accepting that invite. There's a voice note. In fact, let me play it now. That's really interesting. Here's one.
Hi, good afternoon, Ashraf. It's Johnson here. I'm now in my 40s. As a 17-year-old, I was there in that movie or a film called The Ghost in the Darkness in Mpumalanga at the Songivelo Game Reserve. So John was there. He had this funny long ears. I don't know what he had put in there, but I was there. I saw him alive. I was 17 in 1995 in that movie. I was there. Mr. Kani, thank you, man. We were there. We saw you. We saw it all.
We saw it all. Nice one.
Oh, thank you. When I had to go to makeup for about 90 minutes every morning, they had all the markings and the strains and the paintings of a Maasai elder. There was an extension of latex on my ears that were this long, and they had to cut my hair right at the crop. When 30 Samburu warriors arrived from Kenya to be part with Michael Douglas and Val Kilmer, they totally, as they came out of the bus, they came to me and they all went on their knees. They truly thought I was then a Maasai elder.
There we are. I mean, your mind is still so sharp. Do I take it if I look at the Mandela-esque sort of way? There's no retirement for you, is there?
No, I don't understand the word retirement. You know, because a couple of years ago, I did a movie called The Tichborne Claimant in England, set in 1796, which was the opposite of My Fair Lady, where I, as the butler, teaches the white man how to be noble when he goes back from Australia back to his land. But there was a court case, and we had a judge. We wanted the judge to do the final summation, to find us guilty or not guilty for squandering £12 million, which was a great fortune then. And they said they got a judge to do this. And the actor arrived, 94 years old, Sir John Gielgud.
Okay, wow.
And you looked at this man and he walked past and he says to Stephen Fry, "Good to see you, Stephen. How are you?" And then he goes to Richard Plew. "How, Richard, how are you?" "Oh, my God, John Carney, you people have done a wonderful job. Isn't Mandela a wonderful chap?" "Thank you." And I thought, oh, my God. So we had all what called the idiot boards, the script in large font on the desk where he was going to do this. He just said, "I'm still an actor. Remove these idiot boards." And he delivered a 3-minute monologue alone. So I'm only 82, still got another 20 years to go ahead.
I agree with you. Yeah. So when people encounter you, like I was seeing the amount of group pictures you already took before you went on air, like unprecedented. When people encounter you, what's the most likely comment when they see you in public? What's the most likely comment they tell you?
"Oh my God, it's him. You are John Carney." It's like as if I have to confirm. And someone says, "You look quite small." or quite big now, because as it depends, Mama, on the size of your television screen. But it's him. I don't know whether, like if I go now to Hollywood, I'm allocated at the airport by 2 security guards. That will be with me until I live.
Yeah,
and they will always make sure that we keep the distance. And I kept saying, I might get used to this nonsense. Because when I arrive at OR Tambo, it's either my son and my wife picking me up. All that nice Hollywood star and trappings.
It's all gone.
It's all gone as I get in the plane.
Oh,
no,
yeah.
I love people. I see people. And that's my only my mom used to say, your weakness is that you see other people. Can you just go and come back?
And just see blank, yeah.
Yes.
Well, talking about that, I mean, just before we get to the news headlines, there's been 1 or 2 accolades or acknowledgements, global things in the last couple of months. In fact, just what are they?
Or one, I've been accepted and elected into the Oscar Award, the Oscars judge, the Academy Award of Motion Pictures. Yes, I'm one of the judges now. And you are, of course, wow, look at the brothers there.
Speech, yeah.
Yes, and of course also being appointed by the president as one of the eminent persons group to participate in the national dialogue.
I must ask you about that, in a moment. And then you also had an acknowledgement from Britain, right? Royal Academy.
Yes.
What is that?
Before the Queen died, I was on the list of honors for an OBE from the Queen. So when King Charles became the king, so he had to do Mommy's list first. So I was in Mommy's list to receive the Officer of the Most Excellent Order of the British Empire, OBE, meaning that because South Africa is a republic, I could make a choice to use the title of Sir John Kani or not. And because of my attitude, of course, I always blame colonialism and apartheid. It wouldn't sound right to continue that narrative when I'm Sir.
And I wouldn't like to call you Sir, honestly speaking.
I want to remain Brad John. I want to remain Brad John.
Thank you for that, Brad John. Absolutely. Listen, quick one before we get to news. Right, you're one of the eminent persons, right, for the national dialogue. You were invited. Why did you say yes?
It was an opportunity whereby we could speak directly to the president, not to a department, not to a commission, not to a structure set up to look at an inquiry upon inquiry. It was we are appointed to advise the president directly.
Okay. Now, it's early days. What gives you the confidence the president that you speak to will actually listen to you?
At this point where we are, we've already sort of communicated, met, and he has still shown a great interest in what we have to say.
Did he ask for a photo with you?
That's the point. That's why I don't get invited some places, because they leave the politician then say, "Can I take a picture with you?"
Understandably so. More to come. We're gonna obviously talk sport and the markets, and then we'll continue with John Carney, so he can just pause for the moment. Can he ever really pause? I don't know. 5:30. Here's the news heads.
At the headlines, the 8-year-old man accused of being involved in the murder and burial of a man on a farm in Kroonstad has been granted 15,000 rand bail. Police are looking for 4 suspects after an attorney was shot and killed at his practice in Johannesburg. And a Palestinian-born academic and author has called on South Africa to cut all economic and diplomatic ties with Israel. A full update at 6 o'clock.
SAFM, guiding you through the rush hour traffic.
Good afternoon. Starting off in Gauteng, the R24 eastbound in Bedfordview has a crash at Kiluli's interchange, the N12 westbound queuing towards the N1 Diepkloof interchange, and the R24 eastbound in Kempton Park has a crash reported at the R21 R24 airport interchange. In KZN, the N3 eastbound in Ashburton, a stationary truck after Market Road, and on the M13 westbound in Hillcrest, slow-moving traffic towards Old Main Road. In Cape Town, the M5 southbound slow-moving towards Racecourse Road, Marine Drive northbound in Tableview as heavy traffic, that's towards Dolphin Beach, and the N2 outbound heavy traffic towards Muway exit. With your traffic update, I'm Irma G.
This is SAFM Sports with Doming Khapele.
Right, to me, having taken your picture with John Carney, and he didn't take it with you, you took it with him. Just making the point, right? If you are distracted, I can completely understand.
I'm not distracted, but I am, but I'm not, because I'm just keeping my eyes on Bafana that are playing at 6 p.m. tonight. 1 foot in the 2026 FIFA World Cup, and that's what 3 points against Lesotho today will mean for Bafana. That's according to Captain Ronan Williams and his team. The two teams lock horns in the match day 7 qualifier at the Toyota Stadium in Bloemfontein. A win will take Hugo Bruce's team to 8 points clear at the top, with all other Group C teams in action tomorrow. And Williams is also banking on the good support of the football-mad City of Roses.
Yeah, it's obviously nice coming here. We know the crowd can be that extra motivation, and we've got a good memory playing last year junior when we beat Zimbabwe. So hopefully, the crowd can come out once again and, be that extra motivation and give us the energy that we need, for these two key important games. It's two massive games in this group, and, positive results for us on both games, can put us 1 foot, on the plane to America. So we're excited to be back here. We're happy and we're looking forward to doing the business tomorrow.
Meanwhile, Lesotho national team head coach Leslie Notsi says that it would be a massive milestone if his team can pull off a shocking result against Bafana.
It would be a milestone, and it's something that no one would expect at this point in time. With you look at our group, we are in a Lions Den group. Nigeria, South Africa, you look at their track record, in the continent and also in the World Cup. They've done well, the best players playing abroad. So for us to make it, it would really be a very good thing for the Lesotho, for the country as a whole.
Elsewhere, Amajita forward Chandre Campbell says that he's happy to be back in the mix with his age mates after missing out on the CAF Under-20 Africa Cup of Nations in Egypt earlier this year. Campbell, who plies his trade in Belgium for Club Brugge, was a notable absentee when the national men's Under-20 side went on to win their maiden continental crown in May after his club exercised its discretion not to release him outside of the FIFA window. The 20-year-old, however, is quite delighted to return home to be with his countrymen as they gear up for the FIFA Under-20 World Cup in Chile.
Belgium is good. I can't complain. Everything is good. Staying positive, and I'm happy to be back in South Africa with the Under-20 national team. No, I'm proud of the gents. I'm proud of them winning the AFCON, and I'm proud of how far they did. And winning it is amazing, and I'll forever support any decision. But I'm proud of the gents, and we're just focusing on the World Cup, and we're going to the World Cup now.
In motorsport, Lewis Hamilton and Charles Leclerc finished 1 and 2 in the first practice of the Italian Grand Prix to get Ferrari's home race weekend off to a great start. Hamilton clocking 0.169 seconds faster than Leclerc, who finished 0.364 seconds clear of Williams driver Carlos Sainz in third place, while Red Bull's Max Verstappen was fourth fastest ahead of Mercedes' Kimi Antonelli and McLaren's Lando Norris. Now, Norris comes into this weekend with a 34-point deficit in the championship to teammate Oscar Piastri, whose car was driven in this first session by McLaren protege Alex Dunn. Then in rugby, Babalwa Laja will captain the Springbok women against France in Northampton on Sunday, with Mary Zulu and Anati Kolo handling their first World Cup starts. Lacha, who is South Africa's most capped prop, will lead the team for the first time at this level, with coach Swayze the Brain making a couple of changes to the side. Just looking at those changes, Zulu will start at fly half with Kolo at lock alongside Vaina Ubisi, and there will also be tournament debutants with Lushal Hanekom and Xoliso Kuzwayo alongside Nomsa Mokwai and Faith Chauke, all named on the bench. Before I leave, Ashraf, let's look at the predictions for this weekend.
Of course.
I just want to say something though before I do these predictions.
Mm-hmm.
I'm all RSA, no DNA, just RSA, okay?
Okay, got that.
So, let's start off with Bafana versus Lesotho. Bafana. New Zealand versus Springboks. The Italian Grand Prix, I am going to put it on Verstappen, Max Verstappen.
Couldn't you choose a South African there? Okay,
No,
carry on.
unfortunately not.
Okay.
Springbok woman versus France. Springbok woman. Proteas versus England. Proteas, proudly and loudly South African.
Okay, so in that case, you'll get all
Can they
five
not
right.
disappoint me this
You'll
weekend?
win 5-0. We'll talk about it on Monday.
Let's see.
Okay.
Thank
you.
Spar brings you super savings. Get 175 gram Protex soap, any two for 24 Rand, and 50 megs free data on Spar Mobile, or 100 ml Colgate Maximum Cavity Protection toothpaste, or 150 ml Triple Action, any two for 42 Rand, and 100 megs free data on Spar Mobile. Thus, you could win your share of 6 million Rand in instant cash. Price is valid until 7 September 2025, while stocks last. T's and C's apply.
When you're smiling, describe your favorite socks.
Pink and orange stripes.
They're blue with yellow dots. Green, and they kind of look like snakes.
The ones that make children smile.
On 19 September, wear your favorite socks and help spread smiles to children in need of a life-changing surgery. Get your Socks for Smile sticker today at smilefoundation.co.za. This is an SABC-supported initiative.
If you think you cannot afford a lawyer, think again. Clientele Legal has made professional legal services affordable for you. Whether it's a civil, criminal, or labor-related matter, we have a nationwide panel of attorneys standing by to assist you. SMS SAFM to 32195. That's SAFM to 32195 and we'll call you back. Clientele General is a licensed non-life insurer and an authorized FSP. Standard rates and terms and conditions apply.
Mzansi, don't miss out on playing Powerball and Powerball Plus for a life-changing 103 million Rand in total guaranteed jackpots this Friday. That's right, play Powerball for the guaranteed 50 million Rand and Powerball Plus for the guaranteed 53 million Rand today. Buy your tickets now in store on nationallottery.co.za, the mobile app, cell phone banking, or simply dial *120 *7529# for USSD. Panda, Pusha, play. Players must be 18 years old or play responsibly. eTuber is the proud operator of the National Lottery.
Economic news on SAFM. Facts and figures you can count on.
Right, Jimmy, as we get to the weekend, what have you got for us?
Good afternoon, Ashraf. Good afternoon to the listeners. We're closing out the week in positive territory on the local front, with the Rand even gaining back some ground against the US dollar. We got those US jobs numbers out earlier today, quite disappointing from the US's perspective, and as a result of that, the US dollar has weakened significantly, giving back more than 1% against major currencies like the euro and the Japanese yen. The gold price has even edged up towards the $3,600 mark. We're currently at $3,592 a fine ounce. Brent crude back towards $65 at $65.43 a barrel. Platinum pricing recovering ever so slightly at $1,387. Palladium 1,125. But the local front, in terms of equity markets, they benefited from the positive sentiment on the resources side. Resources were up 2%, financials were up 1%, and industrials up 0.87%. As a result, the all share 1% to the green, the top 40 1.3% to the green. The Rand, as I said, gaining ground against the US dollar, 17 Rand 55 at the moment, 23.75 against the British pound, and 20 Rand 62 against the euro. One Australian dollar would cost you 11 Rand 52. One Bitcoin would cost you 110,800 odd dollars per coin, or around 1.945 million Rand with that stronger Rand. In terms of equity markets internationally, U.S. markets are currently trading in the red off the back of those poor jobs numbers in the U.S. that I mentioned earlier. The Nasdaq down 0.5%, the S&P down 0.6%, the Dow Jones down around 0.6% as well. Asian markets were in the green for all of them. European markets were the ones in the red. The DAX, the biggest loser there, down 0.82%. So we're going to look at these market movements going into next week, get a sense of what the markets might be pricing in. We know we've got the interest rate decision coming out of the US and South Africa the week thereafter, but these jobs numbers, by and large, do not bode well for what the US picture looks like, especially from a labor perspective. Interestingly enough, the unemployment rate in the US also ticked up ever so slightly from 4.2 to 4.3%. So we're going to keep an eye on this going into next week. We're going to take the significant win that is the Rand coming back towards 17 Rand 50 for this particular close on this particular Friday. And we'll be back next week. For now, Ashraf, back to you.
Right, perfect. You have a great weekend, and we shall certainly connect on Monday. It means now we're on the home run, another 15 minutes plus with John Carney.
The National Pulse, weekdays, 3 to 6 p.m.
Give us like a Rafiki one-liner.
Lanel, Pulapul, Simba, Kwalasel. Tell me, who are you? No, here comes a person who says, who am I? I know who I am. Who are you?
Well, the storyteller is telling story, John Carney.
Ashraf Garda on SAFM. Find the podcast at safm.co.za. You are listening to the National Pulse with Ashraf Garda.
Yeah, we made a promo of your Rafiki moment already from the team. There's a call, and I want to take that call. Right, so let's speak to this. It's all anonymous. I'm very worried about this. Yeah. So, hello.
Hello.
Yeah. Yes. How's it, man?
I'm good. And how are you?
I'm very good. Now, I don't know who you are because I don't know, but I'm somehow going to suggest that you want to say something interesting. So you better tell us who you are first.
My name is Tinyiko Maluleke.
Oh. There we are. You were in the same studio 2 months ago. Tinyiko was sitting in your seat, John.
He's my brother. That is my brother.
There we are.
I just wanted to say you have a great South African in the studio today. And when I grow up, I want to be like him.
I agree.
And for my sins, I'm his fellow eminent person in the national dialogue process. I am in awe of that man. I really cannot believe. I pinch myself every time we have a meeting that I am in the same meeting, in the same group with him. You know, it's a miracle. But I think he's one of the greatest South Africans. His achievements are simply amazing. And now I also know firsthand that he's a great patriot.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Well, let me get the patriot, or you say great South African, I say champion South African. Let's get the champion to respond to you. Stick around, stay on, go for it.
Thank you, my brother. It is incredible for me as well to be in the generation that I am, and I sit with such illustrious and great thinkers, positive thinkers who know the purpose of each individual. We have to serve this country. We have to save this country. We have preserved this country for the next generation. It is our duty and responsibility to make sure that the South African story is a success story.
Yeah. Tinyiko, there we are.
Yes, I couldn't agree more. And I think we are at such a time in the history of our country where we need as citizens to stand up and be counted.
Thank you.
To take back our country, really.
Wow.
And if we can help facilitate that, then we are humbled. And I am even more humbled to be doing it alongside such a giant as Dr. John Carney.
Point well made. Listen, we need to have a national dialogue conversation one of the days again soon. Prof. Tinyiko. So looking forward to that. Thank you very much. Lovely call. So he was a guest here about 2 months ago. We had a very good chat. In fact, interestingly enough, I'm looking at these various WhatsApp groups, and one of the WhatsApp groups, let me find it. One of the WhatsApp groups has posted something, and it comes from Temba, as in, I need to get it right because I don't want to get this wrong. Temba Letu, who is part of the Center for Social Justice, right?
Yes.
And he's taken advantage of you being a guest here and saying, John Carney is a judge for the Social Justice Champion of the Year Awards. And you know, you and I are both judges for those awards together.
Yes.
So he's understood, like, hey, he says, we need to give him a shout out. What does that mean for you? Being, you know, one, being a judge for the Social Justice Awards, but being part of a project driven by Prof. Thuli Madonsela. And I mean, both of us are very privileged to be part of it. Just to highlight and drive the need around, you know, social justice and eliminating hunger and inequality and poverty and things like that.
When we talked about democracy in 1994, and we painted the picture of freedom, the picture of opportunities, the picture of everything as we went ahead with elections and underestimating what the challenges were. The only correct picture of a citizen sitting in front of their door is social justice. Is when they can get a job, is when they can get dignity, is when they can get water, is when they can get food, is when they can get an education, is when they can be part of the discussion and discourse about the destiny which they want to leave as a legacy to their children. Social justice means we are the people who are custodians of what the true definition of freedom is.
Absolutely, yeah. So regarding the awards, and there's a Social Justice Champion Awards, both of us are judges. The call out for nominations started yesterday or day before. Why is it that important that people respond? I had a chat with Tony, our channel manager at SAFM. He said, that's such a great thing. We must amplify it on SAFM. Why is it that important?
Some of the heroes are heroes at a level so down at grassroots level that we might miss when congratulating great achievers. The best motivation and inspiration is when my next door's son, who's been nominated because out of the challenges of life, they have been able to make such a difference, not only to themselves, they went beyond the call of duty of doing things that benefit themselves, but also the community. When then the community nominates that name, it gives us great trepidations as to we have to choose a person that would be the image of that success, of that acknowledgement.
And that's a good reason for them to check it out. They can Google the Center for Social Justice and the Social Justice Champion for 2025. Who would that be, right? Well, let's talk about other things. In fact, Tebogo Ditsejo, you may know him, Tebogo, right?
Yes.
He was very quick to respond. Like, ask him 3 questions. I mean, all the questions he put, I would have asked you anyway, right? Like, but you have to be really quick about this one.
Yeah.
3 books that you recommend we must read.
As an actor and a writer, I read a lot of political biographies. I read a lot of social comment. But mostly I read new works, which I spend all my time in advising in my academy as to assisting young writers.
Okay, right. And so you're not going to give specific books, right? How would you like to be remembered?
As a storyteller, a truth teller.
A truth teller, right? Yeah. Now, here's another thing. I like to use this opportunity of you giving a shout out to a young South African. So who would that be?
Wow, there are so many.
But like somebody that impresses you.
I'm really impressed by. There's a young man who's holding the fort at the Mandela Theatre Complex in Port Elizabeth, Monde Ngonyama. That young man, an administrator, a visionary, and knowing the task of small rural communities, trying to commit a performance corridor for the entire Eastern Cape. He always gives me pride when he calls me, says, Gqirha, kunjani? How are you, doctor?
There we are. One day we're gonna post that as well. Maybe get a picture of him too, right? In fact, there's more to come. I want to ask you, who'd you like to take out to lunch if you had the chance? We'll do it right after this.
If you think you cannot afford a lawyer, think again. Clientele Legal has made professional legal services affordable for you. Whether it's a civil, criminal, or labor-related matter, we have a nationwide panel of attorneys standing by to assist you. SMS SAFM to 32195. That's SAFM to 32195 and we'll call you back. Clientele General is a licensed non-life insurer and an authorized FSP. Standard rates and terms and conditions apply.
Let's rewind 6 years, when Twitter was still Twitter, not a letter of the alphabet. TikTok was simply the sound your clock made. And Zoom just meant enlarging a picture. So it makes you wonder, What will the next 6 years bring? Hino trucks now come standard with a 6-year drivetrain warranty, covering everything from pistons to gears. So although a lot can change in 6 years, our warranty promise won't. T's and C's apply. Hino, all the way.
You're listening to the National Pulse.
Okay, and you're listening to John Carney, really up to 6 o'clock. So, John, who would you like to take out to lunch? I mean, and you haven't done it as yet with that person. Like, pick one person.
Ruel Koza.
Okay.
He is incredible. No, he is a human being. He is the epitome of Ubuntu. He spoke to me about managing with Ubuntu, that when you look at overheads and trying to get a company to function effectively, the people are not number one on your list, must always be the last, because each member of your staff multiplied by 15, that's who you are retrenching.
Yeah, that's very good. Well, I hope you get the opportunity of the roll Koza thing. I mean, I did say,
SAFM will pay for it. I'll send the bill.
All you have to do is ask. You know, you never, those strange things. This country's alive with possibilities. You know that, right? Yeah. What about, how do you keep your mind active? And I don't mean your work. I mean, is there like a trick to you that every day you get up and it's like, you go and say, oh, I have to get up again. Like, what is it?
As you get older, one of your greatest fears is to breathe out, lest you are unable to breathe in again. So that in itself, waking up, is a celebration. I am alive. And I always want to make each minute matter. I have a sense of urgency. I know the challenges of this country and we need to act fast. So myself, my body, my movement, my everything it's got to be done now or we're missing out, we're falling behind.
Okay.
That's what keeps me going.
Wow. And what about, and how then do you practically manifest that urgency even for yourself in a full day? Like, because I would think someone like yourself there'd be lots of requests, from phone calls to WhatsApps to meetings and work. And like, so how do you manage your day effectively?
I've managed the art of saying no and feel no regret. Absolutely. I only accept things that are positive, that contribute to humanity, including choosing roles and that respects the integrity and the respect for Africans and the continent.
How? I mean, you could ask me this, and I'd probably ask the same for you. But in the acting space, when it's just your voice, like Rafiki, whether you're on the stage or elsewhere, how do you prepare for the role? Because I mean, you get asked, you get a brief, right? And just a quick answer. How do you tackle it?
Look at the role, break it down. Who this person is? What's their journey? Did they start bad and end up good? Do they start good and end up bad? Are they making a contribution to human decency? More important, are they positive sort of projection image out there? When the answer is yes, how do I then become that person and still could be able to come out being me? That's why I take it. But if it doesn't enhance no further my career, no empower me for more things in the future, I'm sorry I'm not available.
I tell you what, I have no designs on becoming an actor. Never had. Because I don't know how I'll remember the lines. What's the trick to that?
You don't remember lines, you know them. You get into the character, you get into the drivers within that character. You look at particular words that are critical, that are the operative words that tell that story. And by then you get a sense of paraphrasing the entire story. And then you realize it's better to do it the way the writer did it because it's less work. And that's then you know what to say.
Okay, well, there's 100 things you can tell me, but there's not enough time. But what's the one thing you want to get off your chest? Like you just say, listen, I've got a platform, I've got 30 seconds to make a point and I want to say it.
In the 50s, we said Maibuye, we meant our country. We said Izweletu, we meant our land. We said Black Lives Matter, we said no more. We said gender-based violence, we said no more. I could find a phrase that drives us back into that national purpose, which is your term of getting this country and this nation right.
Yes, I mean, I often ask, like, what is our national purpose? I hope you're going to... I was saying, if nothing else comes out of the national dialogue, and Tiniko is probably listening to say, can we agree on a national purpose and sign up for that?
Can we agree on that motivating one-liner that makes us feel I am South African, I am African, I have a stake in this country. It is my duty to make it a better one.
See,
Just one word that will help us.
What's your? I mean, you know, people are in the art space always have these fabulous after dinner talks and chats, right? After eight chats. What's your favorite story that you just love repeating?
No, when at the end of the movie or the play, I want to go home. I'm married to Mandy, and I have 7 children, and I have 10 grandchildren. They are the most important part of my entire existence. John Carney's never been to my home. Tata,
Really?
neighbor, and Baba, and Grootman is me. Leave that John Carney. I only need him for the zeros on the paycheck.
Well, that's a good point. What is your gift? I mean, it sounds obvious, but I don't know. What is your gift?
I love, as I said again, to create an atmosphere of dialogue, interchange, exchange, and storytelling. And I could motivate us, when a young man tells me, I've written a play, Brother John, is going to be powerful. I said, tell me in your language. And I'm a great listener. That's the greatest gift I have. And most of the awards that I've won as an actor, I didn't say much, actually, because I could listen, absorb, interpret, analyze, and then answer. It's the greatest gift I have as an actor, is the ability to listen genuinely, not just with my ears, but with my eyes.
And the heart and the soul. Well, that's critical lessons for all of us. So, you could ask one question of the president, Ramaphosa. What would you ask him?
What is your vision of a better South Africa? Ask us to help you realize that vision.
Okay. What's your one question for Donald Trump?
He wouldn't understand the question.
Benjamin Netanyahu?
How do you sleep at night? How do you walk past the mirror, and what do you see in the mirror?
There we are. As we just about wrap up, we've got about a minute or so to go. What's your favorite quote? I mean, like a quote wherever it comes from, that you just love repeating.
I don't really. It's just it's been so much around my 82 years and 60 years in the performing and in the social media. I remember people's words all the time, but it's just humanity, Ubuntu. And if I could do something that I could have my child, my grandchild, not ask me, why did you do nothing? Or why didn't you say anything?
That's a good point. Right, let's end with this. You did the Rafiki line. Of all the things you've done in your life, in a monologue, like a 30-second monologue, what's the one that you most enjoy? And just go for it. That's the way we're going to sign off. We're on to news already. Go for it.
I was part of the struggle. I, too, voted for this country. I was the one who was there those Saturdays when we buried those young children. When thousands with Bishop Tutu marched through the streets of White Port Elizabeth, I was those thousands. I too deserve some recognition, don't I?
There we are. Your time is up, but I don't mean in the world. Your time
Not
is
at
up
all.
just for the
I
show.
still got another time.
You
miles
have
to
much,
go.
much more to offer, John Carney. Great to chat with you
Thank
as
you, my
always. Thank
brother.
you so much. What a privilege. I mean, that's a champion. That's a champion South African. Here's the news with Greg.
Thank you again, Ashraf, and of course to John Carney. In this news update, accused in Kroonstad murder case released on bail and search for killers of Joburg attorney. Good evening. The 80-year-old man accused of being involved in the murder and burial of a man on a farm in Kroonstad in the Free State has been granted 15,000 rand bail by the local magistrates court. The presiding magistrate says the court considered the frail condition and the age of the accused. He added that there's no evidence of the accused trying to intimidate witnesses. The matter has been postponed to next month for further investigation.